this as the Libertarian Party of Michigan. I've now divided that up into 4 letters. If you meet that old criteria of being a state leader, there's one for that. If you are elected to public office, there's one for that. If you were a candidate for local or district office, or you're your county chair, there's one for that. And if you're a dues paying member, there's one for that. So everybody should sign the one that says dues paying member. But what it is just a letter to show that you support this as the real LEC. The names of the LEC aren't filled in yet, so I need a volunteer as we elect officers to fill them into these big letters. And then after we're done, everybody can come sign the letter of support for the people on those. So do I have any volunteers?
Good handwriting.
Good handwriting.
Anybody?
Oh.
Anybody?
All right, I got a marker, and here are the letters. And just as we get through these elections, add a name to each.
Thank you.
What's that?
$5 to donate.
All right, and that being said, I think it's now just about 1:20. And we have all right, so we do have 10 minutes slated for announcements, but we just did a whole lot of announcements. There we go. Here comes credentials.
We currently have 71 delegates, 2 are folks left. And that makes 36, 50%, and 2/3 would be math here. 48. Thank you. 48.
Thank you.
You ready to get that? All right.
Can we get your piece of paper? Before you come in here?
I did it on my phone. 3,000. It's something that my
Although there's an open force lady.
Yeah, I think we covered all the announcements already. So we'll move into officer elections. We'll save that for open floor. Not really business fits for open floor. Yeah, while we're counting votes. All right, I guess we'll start with the election for chair. Oh, that's true. And I'll give the microphone / gavel to Mary.
Nominations are now,
Mrs. Chair or Madam Chair, move to open nominations for chair.
it has been moved and seconded to open nominations for chair of the Libertarian Party of Michigan. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, and you die. All right. The floor, I will now take nominations for the position of chair of the Libertarian Party of Michigan.
Madam Chair, nominate Mike Saliba for chair of Libertarian Party of Michigan.
Mike Saliba is in nomination. Are there any, is there another nomination? Do I hear? There, it has been moved to close nominations. Do I have? Okay, it has been moved and seconded to close nominations for chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Yes.
I accept.
yeah, I forgot about that part. I wasn't gonna give you a chance. All right, we will proceed to vote. You all have ballots in front of you? Oh, okay. Move,
Second.
okay. It has been moved and seconded to approve Mike Saliba as chair of the Libertarian Party of Michigan by acclamation. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is Mike Saliba, congratulations.
I'm not, is it in order for me to say something still? Like, is that what we do? Short speech. I just want to say that, under normal circumstances, being the chair was never really something I thought about. But under the circumstances we're facing now, whoever's chair for the foreseeable future is going to be taking a lot of shit. The pizza party in Wixom wants to sue us. The National Party wants to sue us.
We love you, Mike. It's nice to
The bank wants to take all of our money.
Gonna give you a lot of material for jokes.
It's not gonna be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of slings and arrows. And that's why I do want to be chair now. I do feel a duty and an obligation to be the one who steps in front of those bullets. In the short time that I've been chair, serving as chair already, I think we've been in a crucible that's forging us from iron to steel. Because everything that we've done to put this together, to put together the legal defense, to put together a new website, a new database, raise money, we've been moving like a machine and we've been moving like a team. And I'm sure there's some people in the room who have spent more collective time on the LEC, but going into this, I was the longest serving member on the current LEC, and I've never seen it move like this. I've never seen it as efficient as this. And when we were having our meetings, when Andrew has his private club meetings and we have our LEC meetings, a member showed up to both. I think it had a terrible experience on Andrews, was not allowed to speak during open floor. Yeah.
He's talking about this, Andrew.
Yes. And then came the next night to our meeting, spoke during open floor, and when asked, just noted how much smoother and easier our meetings went. And Lisa pointed out, it's because we've all been doing this together for so long that we're like a family. And that's been working for us so well, and that's what our side has that the other one doesn't. And that's why we're the Libertarian Party of Michigan. In that case, that brings us to first vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Raphael Wolf and would like to reserve an opportunity to speak in his behalf.
I accept.
Except Larry.
Oh, I would like to nominate Mark King.
Okay. All right.
I would like to second Raphael Wolf.
Okay. Do we need seconds on nominations? Okay, but they're cool. Okay.
Propaganda.
Any other nominations? There's been a motion. Oh, yeah.
I'd like to nominate Greg Gumbel.
I decline, thank you.
Can we hear speeches?
We will after nominations are closed. And anything else? Anyone else? I need somebody to make a motion to close then.
I make a motion to close.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. So we give both candidates 2 minutes. I think it's 5. Been a while.
Raphael. Raphael.
What?
I will, I'll defer to Bill how this goes because he's done it more times than me.
I don't know about that. I just think it's important. We're not going to go that long. So I just want to divide the time. I want to introduce you to my friend, Raphael Wolf. This gentleman over here to your left has for a long time done a lot of things behind the scenes. Not only has he helped with the Herculean task along with Jamie building the website over, just the past couple, 3 days. In 2018, he was my communications director, and he oversaw our statewide effort, including over 700 radio ads and 25 billboards. I see Wendy Parker shaking her head back there because Wendy was one of the people that Raphael had working all the time. Raphael has a ton of things to bring to the party. He's a little bit soft-spoken, so he probably won't tell a dirty joke. But I'm going to let him speak for himself. He's smart as a whip, and I think we'd be well served to have him as our first vice chair.
Thank you, Bill. That was great, kind words. I've been a member of the Libertarian Party of Michigan, I think well over a decade. I'm a business owner. I ran for office starting in 2020 in Marshall, Michigan was the district. I forget what district, 63rd or something. We've got a good group in Southwest Michigan. I think that as sort of the affiliates manager, I guess you would call the first vice chair, there's a lot of work to be had. If I can not get boos from the audience, but the Mises caucus crowd really does a great job at recruiting and informing. And I think we can learn from that and hopefully bring them into the fold if they'll come back to the party and work together because it's these coalitions that will help to drive the party and build the party with more common sense, pragmatic and reasonable solutions and efforts. So that would be my goal as first vice chair, is to visit all these groups, the affiliates and caucus members, and try to convince them that it's better to work as a team. And I think we're all getting a little tired of not working as a team. So thank you.
And you guys want to do it the same way, Mark and Larry?
Oh, that's second.
Do I need this?
Yes.
Okay. Few people said yes, so I'll use it. Mark has not been in that party that long, but he has always been very active, real go-getter, and he has moved up from being the secretary of the Huron Raising Party to being the chair of the Huron Raising Party affiliate, and he is also our state IDT director, and I think that he will put the kind of enthusiasm that I know he puts into his work life he will also put into the vice chair position. So, Mark King.
Yeah, one of the reasons that I would like to be first chair is because it's the affiliates director. One of the things that I've noticed being a member of Huron Raisin is that we have like one or two people who kind of interact with us, but I would like to see more coordination between all the affiliates. I've started going to some of the other affiliate meetings. I was at Genesee's a couple weeks ago. And I think that that's one of our ways to bring ourselves together, is to actually get events rolling on the affiliates to get us all working together, meeting each other regularly rather than just at a state convention. And I would just love to be somebody to move that forward.
Yeah, NODA is always an option. Did anybody want to speak for NODA? Okay. So y'all have envelopes. Envelopes have ballots. First vice chair only has one space because you can only vote for one person. It'd be weird if you could vote for two with that one. And Greg, yeah, would anybody like to volunteer to collect them? Oh, okay, Larry will help. Amy. So while we're doing that, we have any affiliate chairs that want to come up and update us on their affiliate? Anybody wants to make an announcement, or if anybody wants to come up and just say into the microphone your name and how long you've been a member, and any offices or nominations you received for the video.
Hi, everybody, Luke Scavaris, former chair of the Capital Area Libertarian Party. It's great to see a lot of people that are excited about just keeping this party moving forward. Capital Area, we are in the middle. We are right here, right? We picked this place because it's central. Let's set something up. We're having an annual park cleanup event. We sent it. It's easy to set up. It's quick. The more people, the louder you can get. We also have the Capitol building itself. If anybody's excited about setting up a protest, a march, a celebration, whatever you want, reach out. I still have a lot of there are members of Capital Area that were present here today. We're ready to set something up. Our group does have access to some money to support if you got something that you need a little bit of money behind. I can't speak for the group itself, but just, you have a connection here to Lansing. So that's it. Where'd you go, Mike? Oh. Joe. No, 1B2R. A joke. Did you hear about the earthquake that happened here the other week? It really had me shaking. He's a better comedian.
All right. Scotty, are you in line for the imaginary mic stand? Never mind. Oh. Yeah, so like I said during lunch, normally we do get to plan guest speakers and events and whatnot. The way this convention came together, everything's sort of off the agenda and unofficial. But we do have Jacob Hornberger on his way. After we conclude business, he would like to give us a speech and take some questions.
Yes.
I just called him. You didn't answer, you might be driving.
I was thinking maybe if you and I performed, we could get some chairs to turn. They probably turn the other way.
I don't know.
So we had a lunchtime plan to have Mr. Hornberger here, and he couldn't accommodate that schedule, probably because I meet with a club, I guess. But he'll be here, and he's been around a long time, and probably has some interesting things to say. So we had to kind of at the last minute decide on doing some things, which is why I've been soliciting people for some really good jokes. Does anybody know any? I just had a comment on one thing, and knowing that it's being recorded, I was told I probably shouldn't tell you this one. A lot of folks know my son Don's back here. He has 3 kids, and I just thought maybe it was family planning, but it turns out they decided to quit because they heard that 1 out of every 4 kids is Chinese. I gotta laugh. I'm one up, bud.
So anyways, have all the ballots been collected? Anybody still have a ballot? Okay, looks like you're counting.
My name is Nancy O'Brien. Been a member since 1992, former LEC board member. And for those of you who have never heard this before, I claim to have made it up. What's the difference between deer nuts and deer nuts? Deer nuts cost $2.50. Deer nuts are under $1.
Steve was gonna steal that joke for a second. You gotta increase the price of inflation.
I also once appeared on the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? So as a trivia guy, I can tell you that the term of buck for $1 was coined in the state of Michigan.
That wasn't a very good joke.
It wasn't a joke, it was a trivia thing.
Oh, sorry.
So that's why I started with the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire part. 2013. Should we start second vice chair?
Oh, that's true.
One thing, Mike, that's true about being a libertarian is you never use up all your stuff. And so the Libertarian Party of Michigan, back in the day, before electronic filing, one of the cool things we used to do was show up at the post office on the filing day for packing. And this is an old piece of literature used by the National Party that we kind of co-opted in West Michigan. It's $1 million bill. For some of the old guys like me, it's not news, but you really do have to have a bag over here. Your money's worth it. Anyway, I still have
Just a few. Yeah.
You made a speak. I can speak. Kyle McCauley here. I'm just gonna say a couple things about the legal defense fund. So if you haven't given any dollars to the legal defense fund, the reason why it's really important, obviously, is there's going to be some fights that are coming, and those are going to get ramped up, and all that's going to be very exciting, I'm sure. But the attorney that we hired to do this job for us, number one, he's a guy who he wasn't as experienced specifically in this arena of political party fights. However, he worked a lot in sort of related arenas dealing with municipalities and other things like that. The thing that I would say made him pretty unique, and the thing that a lot of us who really were happy to hire him on behalf of the party felt was that he was really willing to dig into our issues. So, most of these political attorneys, they want to be paid before they even, read one sentence of anything that you've written down. But he spent a lot of time really digging into our issue, and he thinks we have a slam dunk case. So from his point of view, if it ever got to a place where we were in front of a judge and we were having to get this all adjudicated, he sees multiple contract violations at play. He sees issues with, a lot of what the judicial committee asserts that they have the power to do. And so, obviously it's really important that the attorney that we hire thinks that we have a great case. He's not just willing to sign some paperwork with an official seal. So he's done a great job of drafting some documents. If you haven't seen some of the letters that he drafted for us to send to the national party, I encourage you to maybe check with Mike or any of the executive committee. I think all the members of the executive committee have those letters. If you haven't read those letters, they're really good. They do a good job of laying out the issues. And it's really a great process. Just also real quick on that, the funds, if we have extra, right? So if you donate money and they don't get used, the extra funds do get returned pro rata. So what that means is, if you gave half the money and we use all but 10 grand of it, you'll get $5,000 back. So it's pro rata return to you. So if the legal defense fund is not used up, you do get some money back. But if you need the funds, you've dedicated them, and we obviously appreciate that.
Thank you. Very good. Summary. And our lawyer, Nick, has been really great, and you can tell he cares about the case as well. And we have the results for first vice chair. I read all of them. Yes, Greg? Okay. So it's for Raphael, 47, Mark, 18, Nona, 1. So congratulations with that. All right, and that will move us on to second vice chair. Any nominations for second vice chair? Mark King. Mark does not accept. And the chair and the mic stand there? Who's got the other mic?
It's right there.
Oh. I'll nominate Greg Stimfo for second vice chair. Greg does accept this time. Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to nominate my friend Jamie Van Alstine.
Jamie, do you accept?
I am going to.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other nominations?
Move to close.
All right. Do I have a second? All right. All those in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Move to accept by voice acclamation.
Okay.
You want to hear from me?
All right, we got a second. All those in favor of approving Greg Stemple as second vice chair by acclamation, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Greg.
Steve.
Am I vice chair?
Your second vice chair.
I'm second vice chair. All right, well, now I can say anything I want, you guys can't remove me or can you? All right, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Greg Stumpo. I've been in the party since 4/17/1997. I regret not waiting 3 days. I have been in the party, or I've run for office in every partisan election since 1998. I actually am the currently longest continuous Libertarian candidate. Scotty Bowman technically has run more than me, but he's run nonpartisan the last 2 times, so I'm officially ahead of Scotty. Last year I ran for Secretary of State. I had a lot of fun. I know election law very well. I'm excited now that I've run for federal office, local office, and statewide office. And I'm familiar with all the election laws and filings, and I want to use my knowledge to help recruit and train our candidates for the upcoming 2024 election and any potential candidates that might want to run for city offices this year. As you know, there's been kind of a push to get people to run for city offices this year. In a lot of cities that have primaries will have a filing deadline of April 23rd. For cities that don't have a primary, their filing deadline is not sometime until July. So if you're interested in running for a city race, contact your local clerk or county and see what the deadline is. And I'm sure you've got a lot of people in this room that would be very much enjoy working on a positive campaign this year. So thank you again for letting me serve you guys. And yeah, thanks.
Okay, and we do secretary next or treasurer next? Secretary next. Any nominations for secretary? We're doing secretary first, and Scotty?
Yeah, I move to nominate Amy Benalski for secretary.
I'll second that.
Jamie, do you accept?
Well, since everyone's planning for this position, I guess I'm sure.
It would make me happy. All right, anybody else?
It's fun.
Do you accept? She did not. Stephanie Dunn did not accept. Right?
Move to close nominations.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of closing nomination? Right,
Move to approve my nomination. Second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving Jamie Van Alstine as secretary by acclamation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
I thought I had friends in this party. In all seriousness, I'm honored to have received your support. And I hope to do the job that you expect from your secretary. Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to say something nice about Jamie today, and we have still 4 minutes and 40 seconds, so I'm gonna do that now. You guys might not realize this, but Jamie does so much
Everything.
for the party. So much. And she really brings people closer and back in and calms us down when we're having days where we feel like we don't want to be in this party anymore. She's done that for a lot of us and keeps us focused on what our goal really is, which is we want to set the world free, but also we all are friends and we want to hang out and have a good time and be, with each other and socializing while we do that. But we want the focus to be on getting things done. And Jamie really grounds us. And yeah, she's just a great person and does a lot. So let's just give her a hand.
Now we're on to treasurer. Any nominations for the treasurer?
I rise to nominate Angela Canny to be our next treasurer.
Angela, do you accept? All right.
Second.
All right, any others? Right, it's been moved and seconded to close. All those in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Been moved and seconded to approve by acclamation. Angela, Darden Candy. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ready for a speech?
Thanks.
You know,
Hey, you're getting pretty good at this.
I was almost gonna buy a Scantron machine to make vote counting faster. That would have been a waste of money.
Yeah, we don't want to waste our money. No, thank you guys so much. I'm so flattered. Not everybody knows me. My name is Angela Morton. My national card goes back to 1995. We've been in Michigan for 10 years or so now. We left, went to the other party, support Ron Paul, came back to the party when that sort of ended. So I really didn't expect to be welcomed back immediately with such open arms, shall I say, but everybody has been wonderful and kind and gracious, and this feels like home. You know, the GOP never did. This is home. This is my family, and I'm really honored to be a part of a team that's going to take it to that next level. So thank you all so much again. I'm glad I don't have to be a joke.
And now we get all those boxes of records back.
Did you bring them?
No.
Okay, Angela, I called her when we didn't have a treasurer anymore and asked her to step up. She, I don't think she knew what she was getting herself into then, but after everything went down in January, let's just put it that way, Angela still volunteered to do this with all of the unknowns, and I want to thank her for doing that.
Okay. So now. Yes, so as soon as Greg is done typing, he's going to put up a congressional district map. We also have some maps, just kind of around if you don't know what district you live in. These are the new districts. You know, the LEC had been populated based on the old districts, but since the new districts are in force, it's how you voted in November.
So maybe we'll call out each district, come and get your map.
Okay, yeah. District 1, can you come get your map? If you're here. We have any District 1 people? District 2? Any District 3s? District 4? District 5?
What are we doing?
Six.
District 6?
Mike?
Are we seven?
I had.
If you guys want a sign to hold up to call attention to your area.
5.
Scotty, do you want a District 13 sign?
5.
No, you're 8.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
I don't see.
Well, Laney, you are eight.
We're 8.
By the way, District 10 is me, so. Okay.
I was waiting on the there. It's gonna be kind of like
What left? Yeah. I'm here to watch.
I'm being called over there.
And 12, D12, who's the person in 12? Is that like the, encounter? Anybody 12? Looks like Livonia.
We'll come here. Take a photo with the I would just get in trouble. Not actually.
Where's District 10? John James, Country. Oh, I think we got shake. Does anybody have Livingston County in their district? Oh, and does somebody have number 10 signs?
Number 10 right here.
Oh. I think I'm the only number 10. Secretary.
Where in Oakland County? I would do it. Yeah. I live in High.
Where, what road?
Hickory Ridge.
Hickory Ridge in what? Like, at 59?
North.
North of,
Yeah, just not far. Not far. Yeah.
I know that's like Hickory Ridge. You know, stairs like this. This one, stairs like. So, oh my God.
Here's another one.
So I was having.
I could actually take. Can somebody go with the 7 side? I'm on the north side of that. So I don't have.
Seven's over
I don't
here.
even have
Seven's
If
right
you
there.
go to the back, well, then I'll do that. Construction.
Yeah, it's kind of, you go slower. It's fun.
Yeah.
Within 5 years. Living 2 of the 5 years. And that's great, right? Capital gains, capital gains. If you live there, 2 of the last 5, when you sell it, gains for because it's not yours, it's a trust. Yeah, but the house here is the one you're trying to sell, and you live there. If you, it's last 5 years, you live there, then federally write off that gains. Yeah, which is huge because, like, I mean, well, it doesn't matter how long you live there. It's 2 of the last 5. Yeah, so she is she's correct.
How would you go for this?
Right now, this is for US.
I know. One more. Like there it is a number.
They don't have the official. Yes. I remember. I'll let Greg know.
Yeah, I didn't get your name. Here. Yeah.
Everybody get close, who hasn't selected yet?
45 minutes.
So is there anyone who hasn't reported to the secretary yet? If you have not yet recorded your selection, please do so. Following the order.
All right, everybody, is there any groups that still need more time?
All right, we gotta get settled down here.
All right.
I got a little thrown a minute ago. Over here in two, they were raving about how they had the biggest caucus. And I thought it was something different. I said, no, we're not doing any of that here. And that's just a taste of what we talk about.
All right. So basically what we're gonna do is, we're gonna quiet down. I'm gonna call out the districts and just, let me know who you elected. I can form a line too. That's what we'll do. Form a line at Jamie. Yeah. We have no number one. We need number two. You say there was no two? Okay, you're two. All right, we have no number one, so District 2. Just stop saying numbers, start saying district.
District 2, which is largely in West Michigan. Plus, the new congressional District 2 stretches from West Michigan into central and northern Michigan. And we selected Jay Jalop as our representative.
All right, District 3.
District 3, which encompasses the northern part of Ottawa, southern part of Muskegon and Kent. So it goes from Kent to the west to the lake shore. Has selected Ari Abraham as their District 3 representative.
Oh, okay, so so Southwest Michigan constitutes both districts 4 and 5. As far as we can tell, we have nobody from District 4. So
We are for.
apologize, 5. We have nobody from 5.
No.
5 is right here.
5 is right there. 12 and 1 are the unrepresented districts.
Just go with 4, Jason. Just go with 4.
District 4 chooses Andrew Duke to be our representative. District 5 is present. We stretch from we're the south side of the state, stretching from east to west and encompassing Jackson County and part of Calhoun County as well. And unfortunately, they selected Brian Allison as the representative.
District 6 nominated Mark King for.
So District 7 is basically Kelp, Livingston, and a little bit of Oakland. So I'd like to introduce everyone to our district rep, Lisa.
Eight now is Genesee County, Saginaw Bay, and I have a Midland County. And District 8 has chosen Adam Childress to be the district rep.
District 9 is the thumb area and the parts of Oakland and Macomb that have a lot of gun lovers. So that is myself, Kyle McCauley.
Okay, District 10 is Clinton Township, Harrison Township, Mount Clemens, Fraser, Warren, Sterling Heights. Rochester is the part of District 10 that goes out of Macomb County and into Oakland County. And in the 2022 election, the Libertarian candidate in that district did surpass the margin of victory and hold the two parties to a plurality. We also had a pre-convention caucus and elected Jim Fulner.
District 11, which is most of Oakland County, goes Joe Brungart.
Well, I guess I can speak for 13. I believe this is all included, or it is all Wayne County, yes? Portions of Wayne County. And we have selected Mr. Greg Smith.
I'm excited about this board. Scotty?
Yeah, point of order, the bylaws that require election of judicial committee existed until the closure of this election.
I move to close nomination.
I nominate myself for judicial.
Second.
Okay. So,
Why is it crossed out?
because as soon as this convention's over, the new bylaws take effect, and whoever we elect to the judicial committee shall cease to be on the judicial committee. So,
We nominated Scotty 3 times in the closed nomination.
yeah.
I move we elect Moton by acclamation.
Second.
Is Scotty still on the ballot?
I guess that was the first one to be moved and seconded.
There are 2 other seats, right?
So are
Okay,
we gonna have no judicial committee?
until there is one needed and it shall be formed.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Point of order.
Yes, Brian.
Our bylaws states these bylaws shall take effect immediately upon adoption. So we don't have a standing judicial.
Okay, we don't have a judicial committee anymore. Not as anymore. It's,
Better luck next time.
yeah.
We don't need a judicial committee right now.
Not at the moment, no. Brian? Okay, I would like to move to suspend the rules to consider a very simple bylaws proposal change. Am I allowed to speak to the nature of it before we suspend the rules?
Please.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay. Basically, what I want to do is just amend the purpose of, in section 2, the purpose. Right now, the purpose states explicitly that one of the purposes of our organization is affiliating with the National Libertarian Party. And anybody who's been keeping up with current events understands that the National Libertarian Party does not seem to want to affiliate with us. And so I would just like to make our bylaws not mention that is one of our purposes. And so I propose just striking the last part of the last sentence, removing the words "and affiliating with the National Libertarian Party."
Seconded.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do we need any discussion on this? And imaginary microphone stands back.
Okay, I'm speaking in favor. I don't think that this is really that big of a deal. It's just removing it because the National Party, like Brian said, is gonna not recognize us as legitimate. So, yeah, all we're doing is just removing that in case there's any ambiguity about what this organization exists for. And I don't think this should be represented as any kind of gigantic, symbol.
Yeah, I'm speaking against this motion because, first of all, right now, we are the Libertarian Party of Michigan. The Michigan affiliate of the National Libertarian Party, or LNC, is the Libertarian Party of Michigan. What is happening right now is McCardle is violating National Party, LNC bylaws by basically telling this affiliate who its officers should be, which actually is a violation of national bylaws. But if we are to say that we do not seek, or we are to omit language that says we claim to be the national affiliate of the Libertarian Party National, and the other group doesn't do that, then it actually lends more credibility. You can just hold up both sets of bylaws, go clearly this group represents themselves as our affiliate, and this group does not. And that's a big difference.
In favor or against?
I'm in favor. Okay. I think Scotty makes a pretty persuasive argument. On the other hand, most of the people in this room, especially the ones who invest the most, aren't here because the name Libertarians in our group. They're here because of the values that we're here to fight for. And I think it's likely that we're going to get disaffiliated no matter what we do. And we should just accept that. There are states already reuniting under a new banner. We may well want to do that. I'm not saying that's where we're going. I think there's a lot of people around the country that are looking at us and saying, we may be the last best hope to turn back what's happened nationally, where, by the way, the other states don't have delegate conventions. They have gang conventions, almost every one of them. And that's why they got overrun. We put in place, and I think we owe a big thanks to Greg and Bill, who authored most of what we did in 2017, and all the delegates, by the way, 88 out of 91 that voted for it. And we are, people nationally are looking at us right now and just praying that we're going to do what we need to do to fight this group. And I urge you to vote for this.
Kyle, are you for it?
Yes.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tim O'Brien. I was former state chair. And I'm speaking against this. We can see by looking around this room that when petty, arguments happen, we have a way to respond to that. You're seeing that right here. There's another group having a pizza party in Wixom, but okay. And one of the candidates here said, I want to reach out to these people, bring them back in. And that's what we need to do. We need to be inclusive. It was pettiness on their part to do what they did. And I don't think we should match that pettiness with additional pettiness. I think we need to stay with the national health leader, and they're going to come back around just like Michigan has. And I just don't think it's a good idea to say, okay, you don't want us, well, then we don't want you. I'm going to be voting against this.
Here. So I'm in favor of this amendment for probably a more simple reason, technical reason, and that is I don't want us to be in violation of our bylaws. So part of our purpose in our bylaws stated out is that it's to be affiliated with the national party, and if suddenly we know we aren't, then, you know, potentially there's an issue there for us where we're actually in violation of our own bylaws by not being affiliated. So I think removing this doesn't say that we don't want to be affiliated with the national party. I think it's simply a technicality that allows us to continue to function and operate with our existing bylaws without issue, should we in fact be disaffiliated.
Well, I think that it would be better.
Naaman.
Oh, Mark Kane here on Raisin. I think that having, because what we're doing with this is that we're opening a discussion for us to disaffiliate with national. I don't think that's a good idea. If we can maintain the group that we have here, we could be in defiance with the rest of the country. And we can be the group that actually can keep the Libertarian Party as it is nationally. Also, it's not a good idea because we're just gonna create more infighting. So I would support something to say that, that we seek to be affiliated with national, but not to strike it completely.
Dave County, Genesee County, and I am speaking against this as well.
Oh, do we have any more fours?
Julia Barney, Southwest. I think that doing this is sort of the minimum that we can do. Because the people on the east side are playing very hardball. If you look at what they're doing, they have purged everybody. They've talked about revoking lifetime membership. Did anybody ever talk about anything like that? Anyway, this is the minimum that we can do to indicate that if the National Party is going to disaffiliate us, but if they go ahead and do that, that's the least we can do, then we can walk away clean.
Okay, still Dave County, Genesee County. And I'm still speaking against this. We're gonna talk about disaffiliation. You're gonna have to take this party from us. We are the Libertarian Party of Michigan. We are not going to disaffiliate ourselves. We're not going to disaffiliate. We're not going to rebrand ourselves to something else. This is our party. You want it, come take it from us.
We have any more against? Or, well, I mean, for?
If you entertain it, just briefly. If the body would build.
Second.
With no objection. Okay. So.
This does not seek to disaffiliate us. This does not seek to change our identity. This does not seek to give up who we are as a party, as the Libertarian Party of Michigan. We are the Libertarian Party of Michigan, no question. All this says is that we do not exist for the purpose of being affiliated with national. It doesn't say we don't want to be affiliated. It doesn't say we seek to disaffiliate. It just says our standing purpose is not to be your whipping boy, because that's who they see us as right now. That's what they're treating us as. We're the redheaded stepchild. They don't recognize us. And if they don't recognize us, they say, we don't recognize you. You are therefore in violation of your bylaws, which substantiates the reason why we do not recognize you. So I'm seeking to take away that ammo from them and saying, we exist as a standalone party. We don't need national to run our candidates. We don't need national to engage in political activities. We're the Libertarian Party of Michigan. And yeah, fucking come and take it. We don't need you.
By removing this language, Bill Hall from West Michigan. By removing this language, it's true that we aren't explicitly saying that we disaffiliate. But the fact of the matter is that's what the reaction will be. That's what National is going to say, look, they voted to disaffiliate.
That is what they're going to say in court. That is what the Mises Caucus is going to say, is don't listen to them anymore, they left. We don't have to do this now. We can always come back later, worst comes to worst, and a court doesn't support us. And at that point, recognize that we're no longer affiliated with the National Libertarian Party. But it would be the worst thing possible to do it now.
Brendan Worsbach, Southwest Michigan. I like Brian's proposal. I agree with it in general. My only reason for rising to speak against this is that if we were to have an up-down vote right now on disaffiliation, I would vote to disaffiliate right here, right now. But I think the time for that is going to be at a special convention that we convene to actually decide that issue. The problem we're going to have if we pass this here is that it's going to be seen as a halfway measure where everybody who wants to read badly into it will read whatever they want into it. Those who want us to disaffiliate will see this as a step towards disaffiliation. Those who don't want us to see it as a step will interpret out what they want. I think if this national committee decides to go in the direction that they seem to want to go, we should meet here in 4 months, and 5 months, and 6 months, and have a convention for the purpose of disaffiliating ourselves and doing that straight up. But for here and now, because this is, I think, too open to being misinterpreted by people, I'm not in favor of this, although I completely agree with Brian and what he's trying to accomplish here.
All right, forward then. We've already had a few back-to-back against, but you're the last one here, so go ahead and we'll close discussion.
It's John Kuhn. I'm just gonna speak briefly again. And first, let me just say that I'm 100% on board with the sentiment. Absolutely on board with the sentiment. I'm completely ticked off of what Ashland has done. My objection is strategic and negotiating, not law, because I'm not qualified there. But for strategic position, we are giving up high ground by striking that. Because we are taking, when you compare that to the current bylaws, it's clear to anybody looking that that's been stricken. And I don't think we should give up high ground there by stating in our own bylaws that we are changing anything about our attempted affiliation with the national party. That's our high ground. Why give it up unless there's something to be gained by doing it? I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing preemptive, but nothing actually gained by giving up this high ground. Keep it, it's a negotiating position that we currently have, that we lose the second preference.
Every lawyer here, I know Brandon and Bill, we get every lawyer's opinion, whether they think that, because ultimately this is probably going to come down to court. I want to see whether this is going to be advantageous or disadvantageous.
I think we kind of had every lawyer's.
Was that all
that I know,
lawyers?
yeah.
Bill and Brandon?
We need more lawyers. Oh, you know.
Is that all the lawyers?
I believe so. We got Laney instead.
I want to make clear here that I'm not giving legal advice to you people. You've got to decide what you're doing. You've got your own attorney. That was purely my personal non-legal opinion that I gave there. Much like what John said, it's just a matter of putting yourself in the best position in negotiation.
Phoenix, Genesee County, I will keep this verbiage in, but with a clarification. I am a huge believer in semantics. I'm a semantics Nazi. And I think if we could add a couple of words in there, like, political information activities and reasonable independent affiliation with the national. It can give us a little bit of autonomy separated to say, as long as you're being reasonable, we want to do what you're doing, but if we don't deem what you're not reasonable, then we're not. I mean, it's a little, somewhere of a gray area, and it meets in the middle of everybody who's for and against this.
Okay, is that a motion to amend then?
Yeah, it's a motion to amend with, if anybody can come up with better semantics, please have at it, but that's what I thought. Reasonable, independent.
Okay, Greg's putting that on the screen.
Somewhere activities, information activities. Seeking reasonable independent affiliation.
Okay, I did hear a second on the,
Somebody want to second it? Oh, please.
okay, do we have any discussion on the amendment which has been moved and seconded? To call a question? Oh, here we go.
Terry Bloom, Oakland County. I just want to offer my opinion. I do not support this amendment. I think we should just leave it alone.
Anybody for the amendment?
Or against? No, against. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Against.
Anybody for the amendment? Anybody who likes the amendment? Well, if you want, yeah, go ahead.
Claire Delano, Wayne County. Much like Jerry, I'd like to leave this alone. We're in a very contentious time with national, and the state is not going through anything that other states haven't gone through. But this is our party. Dave Canning, come and take it, not take it, whatever. I don't think we need to succumb to any pressures or we're gonna run our party like we've always run it, with our heads up high. We don't need national's permission to do anything that we haven't already been doing. So why change anything? I think this should be tabled, and I am not for the amendment or the friendly amendment to the whatever you call these things.
The new words.
But yeah, I don't think we need to change any of the language here, so thank you.
Scotty was ahead of me.
Okay,
I was ahead, but if he's speaking in favor, he's ahead of me, because I'm speaking against.
yeah, Larry, were you speaking on the amendment?
Yeah, I just wanted to call a question,
Oh, okay.
Second.
but I won't put off
All right.
discussion that's already risen.
Go ahead.
Okay, I guess I can speak. I just basically reiterating that if we are going to have the moral high ground, as John put it, or the bargaining power that Mr. Hall brings up, or simply the clarity that I bring up that we are the Libertarian Party of Michigan, who is recognized by national as the affiliate. They're just disagreeing on who's leading the Libertarian Party of Michigan and dancing around that. That's what they're really doing,
No.
which is a violation of the national bylaws. That we're gonna do that, any kind of compromise, and I appreciate the desire to compromise, I'm trying to be a unifier as well. But this case, I don't think we should compromise. I think we need to clearly say that we are the legitimate affiliate of the national party as well, because until they disaffiliate the Libertarian Party of Michigan Executive Committee, Inc., as being affiliated with the national party, that is who we are, and they're just trying to play choosing the leader. And as long as we have, if we remove this from our bylaws, while the other side has it in their bylaws, that simply gives them carte blanche victory.
Okay.
For or against?
I'm for tabling the amendment and the resolution previous that wants to be amended. And the reason is that I fully support where Phil's journal is coming from. My first inclination, and I've been voting third party since 1968, when I voted for the American Independent Party in Vietnam before the Libertarian Party was in existence. And I like what Bill has said, stick it in their rear. Okay, that's just the kind of person I am up front. You know, I am
for a revolution, okay? Controlled revolution, but I'll try that, didn't work very well, okay? So, but we have a team here, and you listen to what the chairman has said, and they're working on it, all right? I have been to the Libertarian Party headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia several times. I think we should continue to be affiliated with the National Libertarian Party. I think that's important. The Libertarian Party is on all 50 states, 2 presidential elections in a row. I have studied this for years. Okay, I'm not going to tell you about my degree or whatever. But the fact is,
Arguing the main motion, we are on the amendment.
That is true.
you know, screw the amendment, screw the main motion. Let these
I
people.
don't disagree with you, Matt, I just want to move us along.
Okay, and I want to go too. But let these people do their job the best they can. Their heart is in the best interest of the Michigan Libertarian Party. Okay?
Thank you. Okay,
Laney, Jersey County, a point of clarification. I got an email, I can't remember who signed it, I apologize. It clearly said that the national organization does not recognize it, that they recognize Andrew. Is this true, or was that just propaganda? Because I'm confused on this issue. So where are we?
Andrew is the chair of the board that they recognize. So I don't think they've made a position that all the members, dues paying members here are no longer members of the Libertarian Party of Michigan. That, I think that's how we would interpret it, as them not recognizing us as the Libertarian Party. It's complicated.
But it plays to this issue. So
Yeah.
if somebody wants to talk about that.
Well,
Call the question?
we're gonna call the question on the amendment. All right, all those in favor of adding the amendment?
And seeking reasonable.
To add the words "and seeking reasonable independent affiliation with the National Libertarian Party" to the original bylaw. Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the amendment fails. Back to the main motion.
Call the question.
All right, I have a call to question and a move to table, and which one, does one outweigh the other? They both need to? Oh, both. Bill?
Second.
Okay, so motion to table the main motion. And it's been seconded.
When are we tabling it to?
Yeah, when are we tabling it to?
Till the next reasonable convention. I think it's pretty apparent that there's a lot of disagreement here. And until we work through this a little bit, I think it's better for us to maybe just wait. I've been persuaded by what John Kuhn said and Bill Hall and others. I'm with you, Brian, believe me. But I don't want to see them split our group. And I think it's reasonable to put this off to the next convention. Let's let them make the next move.
Okay. All right, I'll take that. There's no further discussion, to be honest. And all those in favor of tabling this until the next convention, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. I'm gonna say it's tabled. Okay, that was a motion to suspend the rules, so we're done with that. We're back to the agenda. All right. Okay, the platform committee as a whole is traveling back to us from Wixom. Joe, you have. Sorry, doing a lot of moving around.
Mr. Chair, I would like to move to suspend the rules and alter the agenda to do the platform after resolutions and open floor. After open floor.
Okay,
So we have 15 minutes of resolutions, 15, and 30 minutes of open floor.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules, change the agenda, move platform after resolutions as you see it on your agenda. Do we need to discuss this?
Is there a reason?
The platform committee is in transit. Okay, it's been a call to question, and this requires 2/3. Right, all those in favor of suspending the rules to rearrange the agenda as such, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I think that's clearly 2/3. Greg?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, since we are now 16 minutes ahead of schedule, I would like to make a motion, I guess, to suspend the agenda rules so that we can finish the final 2 bylaws proposals. They're very short, and I'd like to get through our entire report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved multiple seconds. Do we need any discussion on this? All those in favor of suspending the rules to amend the agenda to go back to the final 2 proposed bylaws, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll say that. Yeah. Well, guess what?
Still say something.
So I guess I'm back, eh? Yes, I am working. So we have 2 short proposals left for our bylaw changes. So proposal 9 is, as you can see, it's written to take effect after the adjournment of convention, so that way nobody becomes ineligible to vote. The rationale behind this is to help restrict people or caucuses from flooding the convention in order to advance their own particular agenda. And what this does is change the minimum amount of time that people have been members so that they can vote from 30 days to 60 days. And it changes some wording and adds to be eligible. Do you guys want me to read this?
Please.
Okay. Thanks. So it says a person must be a current member of the Libertarian Party of Michigan in order to serve as a delegate to a state convention. A person who has never been a member of the Libertarian Party of Michigan must be a member at least 60 days prior to a state convention to be eligible. Unless that person was a member of the National Libertarian Party at least 60 days prior to a state convention and becomes a dues-paying member of the state before becoming eligible to vote at that convention. Was there any discussion on that?
Point of information, what is changing allowed to eligible to? Like, what was the thought process technically?
I think it's more, it means taking, make that different. Being allowed to vote means that you can have delegates there versus being eligible is a qualifier. So that's why. Did I do that fairly enough?
It just essentially defines the eligibility.
It doesn't mean they can vote, it just means that hypothetically they could.
Yes, they would have to be done.
Right.
Jerry Bloom, Oakland County. I would like to amend this bylaw So inserting the word simply paying dues 60 days before the convention.
Yeah. Yeah, I still don't know what that means. So what is eligible?
So the proposed amendment would include
I
the
don't think it does
60
what you think it
days
does, but
in the last
I get
sentence.
the idea, but I wouldn't necessarily read that. So.
It's 60 is in here, but it's not up there. What is now?
But it's a noun. So you turned adjective into a noun. But it didn't, but without saying, without being an eligible.
So is there a second for that? amendment?
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It just, it doesn't. It's not quite-
That's different verbiage. than what's on.
I understand. Okay, so I'm just trying to decide how important it is if I put up an amendment. to change it.
So I'd like to call that amendment to question.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
All those in
Does that-
favor
does
of
it
the
make-
amendment
Fine.
of adding 60 days in that last sentence, please say aye. Any opposed? The 60 days, that's in dark green up here. That's the amendment.
I think it's redundant. 60 days above encapsulates information provided by that.
I'm trying to clarify what the effect of this amendment is.
I'm not sure.
All right, so this makes it so that, all right, you have to actually pay for your Michigan dues 60 days prior. Otherwise, you would only have to pay for your national dues 60 days prior.
Got
And
it.
then, without this, you would still be able to be a national member 60 days in advance and show up here the day of, become a member that day. So this means they need to be a member of the state party 60 days before a convention before they can vote.
So I'd like to cast this out for Scotty. Scotty, you have something? Is it on the amendment?
Yeah, I'm speaking against this amendment because, first of all, it contradicts the rest of the proposal. The rest of the proposal, if having been a Michigan member anytime prior to that 60 days counts, but being a national member anytime before the 60 days does not count, then that really contradicts anything at all, any mention of national membership at all. Now, the reason, I mean, with all the bad taste in our mouth about nationals, I don't forget the reason why we have things. I remember I was part of putting the original language in regarding that, include either Michigan members or that national members. And the reason is because a lot of people don't know the difference. They don't know there's two separate sets of dues. A lot of people might think that they were members of the Libertarian Party of Michigan in good standing because they've been paying national dues. They've been getting emails from the Michigan Libertarian Party because we got the national list. And they think everything's good, and then maybe they had other things sent to them, but they didn't see it. And then they go to their county convention to get nominated. It's like, what do you mean I haven't been a member? Look at it, I got a card, it's all national. That's why we have that in.
Thanks, Scotty. Any other discussion on the amendment?
Joe Brungart, Oakland County this time. This doesn't really do much because the delegate selection already accomplishes this, so I think we should pass this because it
has less ambiguity in the bylaws, and it sounds like we all want it anyway, so, well, except for Scotty, but.
Okay, I'd like to call a question now, so all in favor of adding 60 days, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I'm gonna rule that it fails. And we have another amendment.
Brendan Worsbach, Southwest Michigan. I'd like to propose an amendment that the reference to National Libertarian Party then be immediately followed by the words, then residing in the state of Michigan.
Second.
If I can speak to that, this proposal as written would allow a person as a member of national at any time, anywhere in the country to be a delegate at our convention. It doesn't make a lot of sense because the person has to be selected by a local caucus, but either way, I believe that the delegates of this party should be residents of Michigan. The mere fact that they happen to be a member of national residing somewhere else with no connection to Michigan should not make them eligible as delegates.
Second for being very long.
Yes, sir.
But then that says they have to be living here for 60 days prior.
I'd like Bill Hall, West Michigan, I'd like to suggest that shouldn't that be Brandon in the first sentence? The person must be a current member of the Libertarian Party of Michigan residing in Michigan. My only concern is by putting it there.
They have to live here 60 days.
That someone who once upon a time was a member of the Libertarian Party of Michigan was residing in Michigan and was a National Libertarian Party member, moves out of state. Wouldn't this permit them to be a delegate?
My concern is everything after the comma would be read as a new clause unless that person was a member of the National Libertarian Party. And there's nothing there stating that there's some qualification on that. What I want to make sure is that everything after the comma clarifies that you can't be a National Party member just from anywhere.
Yeah, but you want them to now reside in Michigan, correct?
Correct. So the National Party member.
So now residing.
Now residing.
Yeah, not then residing, now residing.
While they're having fun, would anyone like to see keys pulled
And you
out the
gotta
back?
fix the 60 days.
Because the bylaws are great.
Resides in the state of Michigan? No, well, I take issue.
Yeah.
I'll let you do your.
Go fix it with Greg. Greg's.
Yeah.
My recommendation is Bill Jeleno, West Michigan. This actually happened. There was a debate in 2016, I believe, in which, and I apologize as I'm getting older, I can't remember names so well. Who was presidential candidate from New Hampshire? Darrell Perry showed up at our convention, paid his dues, and purported to vote. And it was a big mess. I think, I'll let the language people come up with the correct language, but I think fixing this is a good idea.
So I'm gonna call the vote, the amendment, which adds the words then residing in the state of Michigan at least 60 days prior to the state convention. So all in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Actually, they're getting it fixed, but well, I guess I jumped the gun. Yeah. Jamie, are you sure you want that job? So, Greg, are you all set then?
If I believe so,
So let's try this again. Ready to move? We're voting on that amendment. So all in favor again, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll call that passing. So
So now on to the main motion. And I'll call that question, saying you want to put you in, make Mike stand.
Got it.
So all in favor of this proposal as written above the screen now? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I'm ruling that it passes. So the last proposal is to clarify the end of the term. And all we are doing is adding at the very end of Article 3, Section 1, the phrase, or until their successors are elected. So the stuff that you see in brackets were added earlier today. So now read this out loud. So it says the officers of the party shall be a chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, secretary, and treasurer, and the congressional district's representatives described below hereon referred to as executive committee. These are the same individuals who shall serve as the director of the Libertarian Party of Michigan Executive Committee, Inc. None of these officers shall be combined. All of these officers shall be elected to a 2-year term at an odd numbered year regular convention of the party by attending delegates at, or as to congressional district representatives, those delegates from those representative districts, and shall take office immediately upon the close of such convention and serve until the final adjournment of the next odd numbered year regular convention or until their successors are elected. And the convention committee believes that this further defines when a term expires, and it also allows more flexibility on replacing officers. Is there any discussion? No?
Just point of information, I'm just trying to make sure I understand the track from the other stuff that we passed earlier to this. How does this provide more flexibility? I'm missing that link. What's the flexibility that was added?
Well, the flexibility that is added is at our bylaws allow us to vote to replace at any convention. So therefore, saying until their successors are elected, that allows us to say, hey, we no longer want, I'll say, Laney as my representative. So, and so.
Just a follow up to that. So in theory, just taking our most recent example, hypothetically, and maybe I'm misunderstanding. So Tim Yao resigns. He's not actually out of the position until he's replaced. Is that what this did?
No, can I speak to this?
No, it isn't.
Yeah, I just want to speak to it, that this language is added at the behest of our official parliamentarian, Richard Brown, who's also a parliamentarian for the National Libertarian Party. That what happens is, shall serve until the final adjournment of the next odd numbered year at the convention or until their successors are elected. If someone will leave in the middle of their term without that in there, we can't replace them until the end of that 2-year term. You see what I'm saying?
No, but okay, I'll take it.
Yes. Okay. So.
You know, it might be that I'm just asking the same question a different way, but it sounds to me like from this language, you would not be able to replace officers at a special convention because they can only be elected to a 2-year term in an odd numbered years regular convention. So if an officer resigns, you could call a special convention, but they couldn't elect a replacement. They can only be replaced at an odd numbered regular convention. That's what it says.
Or until their successors are elected.
But they can only be elected at a regular odd numbered year convention. You can't elect them any other time.
You could not call a special convention to replace an officer who died, left, ran away, whatever, because they can only be elected at a regular odd number year convention. That's what that says.
Some other spot.
Still work.
All right, hopefully I'll add some clarity here. This is for a situation where the board appointed a replacement or the congressional caucus has to elect a replacement for the board. It's adding it's clarifying that the person that was elected to the board doesn't have that entire 2 years. They have until we as a body or a congressional district caucus as a body remove them. They're at the leisure of the people that elected them. They don't have the full 2 years for certain.
I am Scott Bowman from Lane County. I approve of the intent of this, and I like the intent of it. However, I don't think this is the right wording. And I will, I guess, speak against it, but recommend wording. I don't know if it's in order to suggest a replacement or a substitution.
Yeah, you can.
I can move to substitute. Okay. The phrase "or until their successors are elected," I would like to change it to "or until they're vacant, until they become vacant." And the reason for that is because, or until the seat becomes vacant. We already have conditions under which a seat becomes vacant. And then we say that people can be elected to fill those vacancies. We have that in the revised bylaws. The problem with it, the way it's worded right now, is people could elect successors before, actually a successor would be when you finish your term and someone else gets elected to it, which we already also accounted for. So the effect would be, well, maybe people might vote someone in the middle of a term and say, well, we elected a successor. And that is not the intent. The intent is until those seats are vacated, then they are no longer in those seats. So we can consider their service completed then. Thank you.
Jerry Bloom, Oakland County again.
That's right.
I think we have a problem, and I think it's a real easy correction. And that is in the sentence that says, in odd number of regular convention, we add the words "or special convention."
Odd number year regular.
Yeah, so aren't we already on a motion to substitute?
Yeah, actually, I support Ryan Ellison's wording of substitution.
So I don't know what it was exactly that Scotty had proposed, because I was writing, but
It's in the green on the bottom.
read right above the pictures. Okay, so the language that I would propose is that it says, "or until the seat is vacated in accordance with these bylaws."
Not good.
That's very good.
So, Brian's amendment to the amendment is
I don't think.
to change, or at least until their successors are elected to, or the seat is vacated in accordance with these bylaws.
Or until.
Hey, John,
Or until.
point of order. I don't believe Scotty's motion was ever seconded, so this is just this is the new amendment for substitution.
I said I accepted his wording of my motion. And we support, he brought it up, I believe that is a second. Me and Brian supporting the same thing as two people.
It's fine how it is. It's fine how it is. We have the right language up there.
Yep.
It
So
is
it's been motioned and seconded. Brian's been motioned and seconded.
Okay, yeah, so Brian's has been motioned and seconded, so to vote on Brian's amendment.
please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So I'll rule that passes. I'm just gonna clarify one thing real quick. Now that I think I'm in order now, I would add the words more special election, special convention. The words more special after regular. You can change it. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I'm sorry, reduce the vote on. We voted that.
Yes.
We voted the amendment.
Yeah. Main motion.
So I did ask, and I have to dispense of this motion again real quick. So it would actually officially make this what we just voted on into the main motion, I say. So once again, I'm asking you to vote for the exact thing that you just voted on. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm ruling it passed. So the main motion will change or until their successors are elected or until the seat is vacated in accordance with these bylaws. Okay, I'm still Jerry Bloom from Up County, and I think that in order now. Simply add the words of special to the bylaw that will correct the problem that Tim O'Brien pointed out.
I get to speak.
Yeah, I'm speaking against.
No, someone seconded it. Point of information. Oh, they didn't second.
I'll second it.
Point of information.
Has this amendment been seconded?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to speak against this just because this language is about the regular term. And the problem is that hypothetically, the way this would be written is that if we elected someone at a special convention, they pick up a new 2-year term that is outside of our normal regular schedule. So I think that creates some confusion and could cause this by adding or special here causes that particular issue to come into play.
I think you basically covered what I was.
It doesn't address vacancies as an issue. The issue is there's nothing to address a vacancy. When do we elect somebody for a vacancy is not mentioned. So if there is a vacancy, it will remain vacant.
Where is that dealt with?
For the rest of 2 years. Because there is no opportunity for election until the next regular body.
I heard a point of order. Oh, okay, so I'll call this question up. All in favor of the new amendment, which adds or special convention to the proposal? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Yay.
I'll declare that as fails. So on to the main proposal.
Orders of the day.
I believe we suspended the orders for this last.
Okay, so I think maybe this solves part of the problem. So I would propose an amendment to insert the words except as otherwise provided in these bylaws, comma, in front of all of these officers shall be elected to 2-year term.
So this. Except as provided otherwise.
Point of order. For a second to that amendment.
I haven't heard one yet.
Second.
Okay. So I think, so what this means, or what the intent of it means, and if anybody interprets it otherwise, I can speak up obviously, but the intent is that there seems to be some concern about whether or not we can, if we don't change this, whether or not we can still elect replacements at a special convention. And so this explicitly says that if the bylaw states something else otherwise, then the following provision doesn't apply. And the bylaws say in other places that we can remove and replace officers at a special convention. So I think it appropriately resolves the problems that were raised. Yes.
We need a mic. What's he saying?
It would include.
So all in favor of Mr. Ellison's amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I'll declare that passed. Any other discussion on this proposal? Okay, seeing none, that we're gonna vote on the main motion now. Which reads, which adds except as provided otherwise in these bylaws, which is highlighted. And on the bottom, that will say, or until the seat is vacated in accordance with these bylaws. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I declare that passed, and thank you very much.
Hi there. If you would entertain a motion to suspend the rules and take up one additional bylaw amendment, it pertains directly to the action of amending bylaws. I find it very restrictive right now. It requires the bylaw amendments only occur at odd number of years. It is bylaw number 12. In order to expedite and be more flexible and to be able to address changes as they're happening, maybe suddenly we are not recognized by national and we don't want to, if that decision gets made later, we don't need to wait until 2025. So do I have a second? Thank you.
Okay, so again, it's a motion to suspend the rules. Motion to suspend the rules would require 2/3 vote. It's due. Yeah, all those in favor of suspending the rules?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay, if I could make my motion.
It sounded like it passed. So,
I'm going to make the motion and then you can shut me down.
okay.
The motion is from section 12 XII amendments to strike in an odd number of years only and to replace it with at any convention. It simply means at a special convention, should we choose to take up bylaws, we may.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Bill Hoff, West Michigan. My recollection of why we wrote it this way was we were concerned that there would be an influx of delegates in a nominating year, an even year. And we just wanted to make sure that the people who were really invested in the party were the ones to make decisions as to changing bylaws in an odd number of years when we're only selecting party officers. And I can certainly appreciate the flexibility like we added here, but on balance, I
I'm reluctant to make this change.
I say in favor. I'd like to. This is the main motion, so can I do one by substitution? Yes. Okay, so Kyle McCauley will here. I move to amend this by substitution to say, rather than saying at any convention, to say at any special convention called for that purpose. Keep the odd number. Keep the odd number. Yeah, I'm sorry. In an odd numbered year, don't get rid of the word only. So the only word I want to strike is only. And then, or at any special convention called for that purpose. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this amendment? Okay, Scotty?
The bylaws, pretty much revising bylaws can change absolutely everything. And that is why we've kept it narrow, as Mr. Hall pointed out a few minutes ago. You could have a whole bunch of people that are serving the interests of one candidate who wants our ballot spot. And if you know what it costs to have a statewide ballot drive, to get a candidate's name on the ballot, it's a hell of a lot easier to, get people, members 60 days in advance and have them rush the convention. And then maybe take over and get that person in office, but then at least afterward, the structure of your party is still intact. Or they could change the bylaws all around so we couldn't even recognize it. And that is a big risk. It becomes a matter of people coming into a nominating convention who no longer know the rules that they're going to be playing by, because the rules can change because their bylaws become effective immediately. Now, as far as the special convention amendment goes, then that just creates even more room for mischief, because now it's outside of the regular, well, we got the vetting process, but everything's expedited. So it's happening in a shorter time scale, which could even leave more room for someone who's got a quiet plan leading up to things to create problems for our party. So that's why I want to stick with the odd years. I think it was well conceived to keep it on the odd years, which we did used to do it every year. And we did this really as a safety measure, 1 and 2, to reduce the load when you're already doing the important work of nominating candidates.
Behind you, Mr. Microphone.
Okay, speaking specifically to Kyle's amendment to this, I believe that we have a recent example of a time when we needed to try and fix bylaws and couldn't do so in a timely fashion during this recent fight of factionalism. Also, I believe, if I am not mistaken, I've been told this is true, that we recently fixed our problem with outside delegates taking it by changing our bylaws earlier. So I think that this is a very good amendment and that it will allow us to fix bylaws in a timely fashion without necessarily having to wait 2 years, but only in the exception where we call a special convention for that purpose.
Okay, any further discussion on the amendment? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yay.
Yeah, can I get a show of hands for in favor? Show of hands against?
Grab your count.
Fudge. All right. If you're in favor, please stand up.
1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
6. Sit down once you said your number.
9, 10,
11,
13, 14.
I'll get to this, I'm this side now.
You're 15.
You're 15.
16.
All right, sorry, I messed this one up.
18.
I'm just gonna cover the side.
18, 19. 18. No, he's 19.
21.
2. 23. 24. 25. 26. 27.
35?
That's one less than majority.
One less than majority,
Yeah, but we gotta stand,
but
we also have,
yeah, all right, all those against? All right, I'm gonna be a little bit more specific about who I'm pointing to now.
One,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, 8, 9,
10.
11.
Hold on. Find out close. Yeah.
House rock. 23.
Twenty-six.
motion passes.
Good job, Mike.
All right, that passes.
Okay, so now
The
we're on
amendment
the,
passes, brings us back to the main motion. Any further discussion on the main motion? Okay, oh, here we go.
Apologize in advance, I'm gonna make a motion to amend and insert the word soul before purpose.
SOLE, not SOUL. SOLE.
Okay, it's been seconded.
No.
All right, any discussion on the new amendment?
Yes. Planning County. So that means you cannot take care of anything else. So everybody's to come together, spend gas, time and energy, and you won't be able to have any other conversation. So I'm against it because if it's for that purpose, then it's for that purpose, but then you can also piggyback anything else that's coming up.
Motion to amend the amendment, change it to primary purpose. Primary purpose of the special convention, like when we had the new rules that we had to follow because of our success in 2016. We could have called a special convention December 2016 and changed our amendments right then. Instead, we waited until February. That's it.
Can we have
I don't think that changes.
an amendment to the amendment?
Yes.
I really question use of English entirely here.
Check it out.
It's been seconded.
Bill Jeleno, West Michigan. You know, a special convention has to name the purposes for which it has been called.
Yeah, right.
So it would not be appropriate to say to a special convention, you can only call it for that one thing. It certainly would have to be one of the named things.
Right.
And I think the word "that" describes it. Any special convention called for that purpose.
Right.
And I think we're just toying with English a little bit too much here. But that's my opinion.
Here, here.
Okay.
Call all questions.
Yeah, just call out questions. So. All right, so at this point,
We're voting on replacing primary.
we're voting to replace
Sole with primary.
sole to primary. All those in favor of primary, say aye. All those opposed? Okay. So now that brings us to sole. All those in favor of sole, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
I'm gonna say sole fails.
The soul. So now we're voting on the main motion.
Now we're back to the main motion. All, any further discussion on the main motion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I'm gonna say this also fails.
No. I want to count.
It's all
We'll
done.
say it. You gotta-
I want to count.
Okay, do we have 10 people for division? Oh, that was not 2/3, you're right. Yeah, for 2/3, couldn't do it. All right. And that, because again, that was a motion to suspend the rules. We've been sort of done with all of that. Back to agenda. All right. So, yeah, that puts us to resolutions. I know the chair had, or not the chair, I'm the chair. The secretary has already received some resolutions. Okay. In that case, the first one. Okay. Greg, which way is the easiest for you? Okay. I'm asking which is easier for you to do first.
I have Scotty.
Okay, so Scotty was the first one to submit. We'll do Scotty first. All right. Here's Scotty need to answer that question. Yeah.
Okay, great. I've been waiting all day. I'm gonna read off the resolution, and I can't speak to it, though I believe much of the content gives the arguments as we're going here. I'm gonna move that we adopt the following resolution. Libertarian Party of Michigan Unity Resolution. Whereas there are two competing groups claiming to be the legitimate Libertarian Party Executive Committee, LEC, of the Libertarian Party, AKA Libertarian Party of Michigan Executive Committee, Inc. And whereas the greatest threats to liberty are outside this party, and whereas the historical practice of Michigan Secretary of State is to deny ballot access to minor parties that submit competing slates of candidates. And whereas the other group claiming to be the LEC is likely to schedule another regular convention before July 31st, and whereas the convention held in Lansing, Michigan on April 1st, 2023 AD is the legitimate LPM regular convention. And whereas two conventions electing the same officers, passing the same bylaw amendments and platform amendments will result in a single Libertarian Party of Michigan. Now, therefore, be it resolved that any person nominated to the LEC and any delegate attending today earnestly attempt to participate fully in the other event labeled the LPM regular convention. In so doing, they are urged to vote for the exact same officers, bylaw amendments, and platform amendments as are passed at the April 1st regular convention in Lansing. I have extra copies if anyone didn't have a copy.
It's been seconded. Any discussion on Scotty's resolution?
things can be both honestly given and still be dumb as hell. I respect Scotty's attempts to find some kind of unity. That isn't even consistent within itself. I look at this and say, you know, there was a time, we were talking earlier about 1938. I wouldn't compare my friend Scotty Bowman to Neville Chamberlain, but there's no appeasement to be had here, folks. The club is not legitimate. Let's not recognize it as so. And I realize that there are people in affiliates. Sorry, Wayne County, you guys are being held hostage right now. But you're here because we welcome you. And so I think we just need to stick to our guns. And, you know, we've watched Pennsylvania, New Mexico, one after another fall. People nationally are watching Michigan. We have delegate conventions. We're bigger, we're badder, and we don't need to compromise. Vote no.
All right. All right. One in favor and call the question.
I'm John Coon, I'm speaking in favor of this resolution. It's a resolution, that's all it is. I don't see where it sacrifices anything. It doesn't find any legitimacy whatsoever, as near as I can read into this. It doesn't accept anything that's done at the pizza party in Wixom today. It merely suggests they're probably going to attempt to hold another convention, and it is an olive branch, so to speak. And I can tell you that I can remember a time when a certain candidate's presence in this very party caused an awful lot of internal dissent, what we ought not to do. That candidate was me. And it was really hard convincing the party to do it. And it caused a fair amount of division while I was attempting to do it. But after that, everybody in this party came together. If you don't think we need these people, you're wrong. We need everybody. This is an olive branch. We're not giving up anything. It's kind of like what I was talking about before. This is position. We can afford to hold out an olive branch because we're the legitimate party.
You about to make a different resolution, or are you speaking? Yes. Okay. I'm just gonna call the question on this one. What? But we're still on resolution.
Mr. Chair,
Jim,
I would move to extend time to complete the next 3 resolutions.
I have 2.
For the next 15 minutes.
okay, I also have a resolution that I want to do. I need to find Mary for that. He did not receive ours. All right. So that was a motion to extend resolutions by 15 minutes to what time?
52.
3:30. All right. All those in favor of extending, say aye.
Aye.
352.
3:52, I'm sorry. That should have been all those in favor of extending to 3:52, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, I guess that fails. I guess that means we're done with resolutions. Okay. All right. All those in favor of Scotty's resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
2/3, all right.
Our bylaws are 2/3.
Visit.
Yeah, that's not 2/3. And so now we're at open floor. So Would anybody like to come up for open floor?
Point of question, so no more resolutions.
You can do resolutions at open floor. Got some more time.
I have a point of question, whatever.
Request for information.
Information requests. Did we just vote for a 2/3 on a resolution?
Our bylaws require 2/3.
It does.
Yeah, and it was not that.
It failed.
Because our bylaws say it.
The bylaws require a 2/3 majority to pass a resolution. Okay, so the previous resolution failed. Max, we think,
Have some information from the board real quick and then we'll move on. As Poor Little Church Mice Party, we are requesting that you turn your lanyards in on your way out. There's a box by the back by the door where you can drop them off. You can, of course, keep your ribbons and or credential or your name tag if you want. Yeah, you can turn the envelopes in if you would like also. We might be able to use those. Thank you.
okay, Max. Go ahead.
This should be simple. I say that, it really should be simple, okay? Proposed resolution of the Michigan Libertarian Party, April 1st, 2023 State Convention. I'll try and read this a little slower. Resolved that the Michigan Libertarian Party go on the record condemning in the strongest possible terms the recently passed unconstitutional anti-gun laws by the Michigan State Legislature. These laws do not give Michigan citizens due process and go against the spirit and meaning of the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution.
Second.
Okay, can I speak to that real briefly and then go? Okay. I've been following.
Now, can you hand it to Greg?
Oh, so, okay. I don't know their version. Okay, one, it increased enhanced and stronger background checks, more gun registration. Yeah. Enhanced safe storage laws. Yeah. The key to this is if you have children and you're going through a divorce or something at school, and some school teacher said, or counselor said, he's got children, we think he has guns. It gives the government a right to go in unannounced and search your home. And then consequences after that. Third, enhanced red flag laws. These are strong red flag laws. No due process. It's going to make lawyers a lot more, especially divorce lawyers, they're going to use this to go after people. Again, we are a country of laws where are innocent until proven guilty. You are proven guilty of innocent. So,
Okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and call that. All those in favor of Max's resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I'm gonna say that resolution passes. Craig, do you need me to slow it down at all for you, or just want to roll it through? All right. Okay, I also have a resolution. Max, can you get back in line and
Here.
to Jim.
Mr. Chair. We're no longer under the time allotted for resolutions. I will move to suspend the rules for 10 minutes to consider the following resolution.
We'll just treat it as far as open floor.
Whereas the Amicus Caucus is ignorant and repugnant. Whereas we have no reason to believe they are government profiteers. We aren't sure what they would be doing differently if they were. Whereas Andrew Chatterton is a Trump voting narcissist. Whereas we recognize he felt his rights were violated at the 2022 party nominating convention. Whereas we do appreciate him at least having waited until after the 2022 November election to file his complaint with the duly elected LPM Judicial Committee, thereby allowing our candidates to fulfill their mission to promote libertarianism to Michiganders through the electoral process. Whereas the judicial committee, populated with this caucus members who were personal friends with Andrew, delivered a ruling on December 19th, 2022, in favor of Mr. Chatterton, not based primarily on the will of the majority of Michigan libertarians, nor the bylaws those same libertarians have written, nor judicial precedent, but simply because they like Andrew better, with some members even publicly proclaiming such. Whereas one of the failures of a democracy is once someone is elected, they can pretty much do whatever they want as long as they support the majority. Whereas we affirm the long-standing libertarian position that private contracts, whether written or verbal, always take precedent over state law. Whereas we acknowledge the state law governing corporations are antithetical to personal responsibility. And therefore, we, the members of the Libertarian Party of Michigan, assembled in Lansing on Saturday, April 1st, 2023, do recognize the rights of the Judicial Committee to make a bad faith decision on December 19th, 2022. We have recognized the events partaking among the members of the Libertarian Party of Michigan assembled in Wixom on Saturday, April 1st, 2023, and agreed to abide by the results of their assembly. We look forward to beating them in a fair leadership election after their call for regular convention sometime before August 31st, 2023, so that we can end this cult of personalities, resume promoting the principles of libertarianism, namely individual liberty and personal responsibility, and hopefully, once and for all, put infighting behind us so as to put forth the best slate of libertarians ever presented to Michigan voters in 2024, after which the events of the last quarter will be but a footnote on an LPDA page. No one will read any of this.
Thank you. All right. It's been seconded. All those in favor of Jim's resolution, say aye. All those opposed? I'm gonna say that fails. Right before, Mary, could you take the gavel so I can present? And then you could have been part of that. Just have to see.
I thought it was amazing.
Okay, first I would like to move to extend by 15 more minutes.
Wait, we still have to.
What time is it in 15
That'd be
minutes?
5:07, right?
2401.
When are we out of here? I was gonna say, we have till, we have 5 minutes still.
All right, to rephrase that, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules to move adjournment to 4:15.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to extend,
The rules
to amend the rules to extend until
4:15.
4:15. All those in favor, say aye. All opposed? I'm gonna say that passes.
Okay, and now I would like to make a motion to make a resolution that says, whereas the petition to remove Andrew Chatterton is no longer necessary, this body affirms they would have voted to remove him if given the opportunity to do so. And I would like to request that we record the number of votes.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of the resolution, please stand. Please. I need a count.
I'll do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 44, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, and I'm number 57. 58. So everyone in the room, is there
58.
anyone opposed?
Those opposed, please
Okay,
stand,
we've got,
or raise, yeah, please stand, please. Okay.
More than the number of people who attended this.
58 for. You get that, Greg? 58 for and 4 against.
So,
No. I always wanted to do that.
okay, so we did extend the time of adjournment, but we didn't extend open floor. Are we still on open floor, Greg? Okay, we're on to platform.
Sorry.
You got one. We are ready for platform. Here's Jim.
Hello, Jim Fuller here. I was the only guy who actually attended both conventions. For some reason, I guess I'm just glutton for punishment. I just lost microphone, something like that. I was nominated as the chair of the platform committee by my roommate, Mike Saliba. All right, so on behalf of the platform committee, I would like to introduce to y'all these two resolutions, or whichever number of platform proposals we get to within the time allotted. All right, so it's right here. Oh, okay. All right. So this is an amendment, a proposed amendment to insert, we condemn bigotry as irrational and repugnant to the beginning of Article 1, Section 6. The rationale for the adoption of Proposal 1, well, the issue of racism has been rampant for centuries. It has recently again become a hot topic because, in part, one of our opponents' parties has started openly welcoming bigots into their ranks. Including such language may help to inform mainstream anti-racists formerly in that party. They have a home here, while continuing to proclaim the traditional libertarian value of the state treating everyone equally with no special treatment to anyone. Similar language was first included in the Libertarian Party platform in 1974. We have a certain time for debate and amendments, correct? Anyone recognize, anyone wish to speak? Against? Yeah.
Dade County, not bigot, not racist here, from Jefferson County. And, well, I appreciate the sentiment. I'm no on this, and if you can show me where the major party has that their open invitation to bigots and racists and like, I'll be happy to change my mind.
All right, that's 1 for, against, anybody in favor? Yes, sir.
Brendan Wurzbacher, Southwest. Look, we're libertarians. We believe in the freedom of association. We also believe in the freedom to not associate with people. I choose not to associate with racists and bigots. And while I'm fighting for the right of anybody to freely associate. I do not want to fight for that cause with people who are racist and bigots. The freedom of association requires us to state who we are, what we are. This is not stating that those people are not welcome to your party. It's not a litmus test. It's just stating what is acceptable within the Libertarian Party and what is not acceptable within the Libertarian Party. And it's also just saying something that I think we all understand to be true, which is that racism is rational and is ugly. So why can't you say that?
Anyone else? Request for information from Mr. Cresswell. Wrong, Greg. Mr. Cresswell.
Yes, could you clarify the party that's inviting these so-called?
Well, I think we know it's the Republicans, but regardless, that's not germane to the actual change.
Well, I would get the notion that both major parties do. I would say that both major parties do. If you look at the Democrat Party, Barack Obama was standing next to Louis Farrakhan. And all of the attention is always on the GOP. And one of the reasons why I didn't vote for Donald Trump, is the man struck back. There are pictures of Donald Trump with Louis Farrakhan and somebody, Jesse Jackson and somebody. I'd like to go on and on and on. I think what we have in this country right now, by the press, is one-sided. And I think we should just say and support freedom of association. Because believe me, there are a lot of people in Detroit I would never associate with. And I mean a whole bunch of them. So I think we just support freedom of association, leave it at that, and don't even highlight the part, because they can one day say that, and they did call us a racist back in 2006 because we supported NCRI. But thanks to Ward Connery, Tim O'Brien, John Blue, and the rest of us, we had credibility because of our history and said freedom of association. They did not give us credit at all. The news media did not give us credit at all in passing NCRI proposal 2. That's it.
Anybody else?
Point of clarity. Is all of that going to be written down or just the one brief sentence? So that's the part that we can agree upon and
Yes.
whatever reason, rationale.
That's up to, you don't have to agree with that.
Okay.
Mr. O'Brien.
I'm still here.
I,
I'm still Tim O'Brien. And I am going to vote against this. I think this is not an improvement. If you could, I can't see the language. Can you bring it back? Okay. The current plank says we oppose any form of discrimination by government based on race, ethnicity, ... Okay. I absolutely agree personally that I condemn bigotry as irrational and repugnant. But what this party is concerned about is with what government does. And if somebody is a bigot, I think they're irrational. But that's not what we're here about. We're here about government and government discrimination.
Yeah.
You know, I also think that being a hooker is a bad lifestyle. I think using drugs is a bad idea, but we don't make them illegal. Why? Because we're concerned about what government does, not what people think in their minds or what they do that doesn't hurt anybody else. I don't think this helps. I think this hurts. I think we leave our platform just the way it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak in favor. This is a change for me. I wouldn't have spoken in favor of this a while ago, but I do now. To put it really simply, I think there's unfortunately a view from the outside of the Libertarian Party that views us potentially as maybe being favorable to those who would be categorized as racist and bigots. And because of that, I think a strong statement stating otherwise is useful.
This is a statement.
John Coon, same district. I'm gonna speak in opposition. Maybe for a little bit different reason than my friend Tim, although I support everything he said. Frankly, I'd be very surprised if every person in this room couldn't find a libertarian who held some view or another that is repugnant. This is not about what we view as repugnant. It's about what we vow to do or not do for political and social activity. That's what this is about. Every one of us is allowed to hold our own views, even if they are irrational or repugnant. In fact, I'd go so far as to say, you're not proving anything nonetheless. You're willing to accept what you consider to be irrational and repugnant. If you're going to draw the line and say, I'm going to throw away my libertarian principles because I think what you're doing is irrational and repugnant, then you're violating the oath. You're allowed to hold irrational, repugnant views. We as a party embrace those who do. We don't care what they are. What we care about is that you vow not to initiate force against anyone for those views or for anything else. And personally, I find racism and bigotry repugnant. Make no mistake about it. But if you show me a racist who's willing to take the oath and not implement anything regarding that feeling that they have in a political realm, then you're about to strike me down. I found an ally. And I think if you look inside, you would agree. This is about politics. This is about social values. This is about what you do, not what you believe. It's in our oath. Check it. Doesn't say a single thing about who believes what. It's about who does. I'm not advocating to go and seek racism. I'm just suggesting every single one of us could find something repugnant about somebody in this room. Maybe you just thought it was me. Does that mean I'm not an ally?
Anyone else? Recognized for original vote. All those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Say that's not 2/3.
I thought that was great conversation.
All right, proposal number 2. Insert. All software purchased or developed by government employees or ran on government machines should be published under the GNU public license or similarly freedom respecting free software license as a new section 14 to Article 1.
What's GNU?
The GNU is not Unix.
What?
It's a recursive acronym that means GNU is not Unix. The rationale for the adoption of proposal 2.
How do you spell GNU?
GNU.
The G in GNU stands for GNU.
That's what recursive acronym means.
Can you explain?
If the state exists, it should not be given special interest to anyone. The use of free software by Michigan's government will ensure that everyone, not only those closely affiliated with the government, will be able to have access to it. The ability to have activists and impartial security experts audit the code running state hardware would enable potential security flaws to be more quickly identified and fixed, improve usability of government services that we're already paying for, like the awful SOS website, and would allow the people to ensure that all public machines, including voting machines, are working for us and not we working for the machines. The individual taxpayers that are funding it should own it. Free Software Foundation has more dues-paying members now than at any point in its history. Even outside the FSF, the movement is growing across every political spectrum, including increased use of freedom-respecting tools like Tor, Mastodon, and Linux. Both old parties are too tied up in their current nonsense to have anyone to reach these folks who are currently politically homeless. Now is the time to formally add this plank to our platform to let them know, if you love freedom, you belong to the Libertarian Party.
I move to amend by placing the words "in the performance of their duties" after the phrase "government employees." Can I speak to it? And my basis for that is that, let's say you're a state cop, but I know I don't mean it like that, but on the side, you happen to, when you're not working, you're a hacker and you write some really awesome software and you want to copyright it to make a little more money. You don't feel you're making enough money as a cop. There's nothing to do with our tax dollars paying to develop that software. I think that person should be entitled to be able to make money off his own work.
Second.
Point of information, when it comes to a similar, I can't say it, freedom, respecting free software license, what other licenses would that be? Would like an ISC or a BSC license count? Because the difference is the copyleft. So those would be.
I would really consider it for this, the platform play, because we get into that business.
Well,
So our elected Libertarian majority advances will figure out exactly.
I have a point of inquiry, I guess. Does,
Yeah.
I have a question. It mostly talks about government-owned machines, but what about machines government rents, like Amazon Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud?
But just for point of information, it's not directly addressed.
Should we?
Can we call the question on this amendment first? Can I do that? You mind? Call the question.
So the question has been called. Is there any opposition to calling the question? All right, as such, we'll now vote on the amendment to the proposal to exclude the phrase "in the performance of their duties" to all software purchases developed by state employees. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. All right, that is now the main motion. Any further debate on the main motion? I don't always know the English words for things.
No someone?
All right, hearing no one seek to be recognized.
I'm still confused what GNU is. Is that because I'm not techie?
It could be, or because you're really old, I don't know.
It could be. Considering that I'm not, it's just I'm confused.
Yeah, so the GNU public license is one example of a license that would say, anybody who has this is free to examine the source code, look at it, prove it, do whatever they want with it. So if the government made something, you have the same right as the government to access it, to change it.
Is there something actually?
Yeah.
What's real?
Yeah.
Bill Hall
That's
has
what I didn't know what that was. Okay. It's a public license.
Correct.
Okay.
Question, all software purchase, so if the state of Michigan purchases a Microsoft Office or Windows license, then it becomes public domain?
That would mean that under the current license of Microsoft Office, the state would not be able to purchase Microsoft Office. It would likely choose to purchase a free software alternative such as OpenOffice or LibreOffice.
And just for information, by free software, they don't mean free as in free at cost. It means that the code must be available.
Yeah, free as in freedom as opposed to free as in free beer.
Free as in speech.
Yeah, thank you. That's much better. Anyone else seek to be recognized? Seeing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
I think it gets 2/3. Next, Mr. Secretary. Yep.
Good job.
Your pen to recognize.
Division.
Remember Keith Flores?
Sounds good. Next one. Delete the entire platform except the current statement of principles and preamble. Mr. Schwartz, would you like to speak to your recommendation? Yes.
Hi, my name's Leonard Schwartz from Oakland County. I've been a member of the Libertarian Party since 1980. I've seen a lot of conflict, both at the national party and the state party, and the main conflict among various party members is over their version of libertarian. And a conflict over what should be the platform. And I see members spending more time hating other Libertarian Party members than campaigning against the Democrats and Republicans. So to create more harmony within the party, instead of us being debaters about which version of Libertarian, we should eliminate the party platform. And every candidate runs on his or her own platform rather than have a uniform. This will promote harmony. This will eliminate, especially the one here in Michigan. And if this proposal passes here, then I'll make the same proposal when I go to the other state convention by the other group and make it, and that eliminates, maybe not all of the conflict between Mises people, but it eliminates most of the conflict. And we could be harmonious again. And then we also we'll have to worry about who's going to win the loss. I don't know if our side is going to win the loss. I think it's up for grabs. So we may find out that we're not the Libertarian Party.
Does anybody else wish to speak on the motion? Chair recognizes Mr. Bowman.
Yeah, I strongly speak against this. The platform is what distinguishes us from other parties. We are an ideological party with a laissez-faire, minimal to no government philosophy. And if we do not have that clearly stated and enumerated, then really, well, I mean, effectively, the Republican and the Democratic parties, they have platforms on paper, but they effectively have no platform because they don't really hold their candidates, really to much of anything. And effectively, that's what we'd be doing as well. So I don't want to be like them. I want to be, I want to be clear that we are distinct, and one way we can do that is when people look at our platform, we can go back years and say, hey, this party they were against marijuana criminalization, or actually all drug criminalization, but specifically things that have changed. I looked at old newspaper articles by the way. I was looking through old news clips. I was writing a lot of stuff, Mr. Kuhn in there, but I also would see stuff where they mentioned things like, oh, and of course they had, these shock value planks such as legalizing marijuana. It's now the law in Michigan and most states. But the point is, we can point back at that platform and go, way back then, this is where we stood. Because we're the party of principle, and where we enumerate our principles in the platform.
Anyone else needing to be recognized will go forward to a vote. Those in favor of deleting our entire platform after the preamble signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Nay. All right. So Leonard, you still want to go forward with your next one?
Actually, they were just one big
Okay.
proposal, so.
All right, that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn has been moved and seconded, but before we vote on it, I just want to remind everybody
Because we're not having a banquet, stuff that we would usually do during a banquet, we're going to do as soon as we adjourn, which includes some fundraising opportunities from Bill, including his game, and we have a guest speaker, 2024 presidential candidate Jacob Hornberger and Larry. Yeah.
Is there an LEC meeting following this?
Because of those things, and Mr. Hornberger traveled, and Bill does not want to lose, people who don't need to be here for the LEC meeting. I would like the LEC to meet immediately after those two activities. All right. Yes, Daddy.
I would love us to get a group shot.
Yes, and a group shot, and don't forget to sign your letters. Some of them, all 4 of them apply to some of you. You have a letter to sign. All right?
And one of them applies to everyone.
Yes, one applies to everyone. Everyone can sign at least one of those letters.
Can we put them at 4 different tables so they can be easier?
We have not, but hold 1 second. We haven't voted.
Can we put those letters on 4 different tables?
Yeah. Okay, all those in favor of adjournment? Okay, any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned, but we still love each other and we're still doing things, fun activities.
So, try to keep your attention if I can for just a couple more minutes. Couple things. First of all, I want to say thank you to Andrew Hall for donating this wonderful gerrymandering game in which we've asked several of the dignitaries in the room, including all the people who've ever run for governor in the state of Michigan, as well as several really key activists. I'm going to do this one as sort of an auction thing. I want to see, is there somebody who would pay $25 for this game? Do we have anybody that would be interested in paying? I got a $25. Okay, we're gonna have a little fun now. I got a 25. How about 30? Do I have anybody that's paying 30? I got 30. How about 45? 30, 35. I got 35. 35 over on this side of the room. Is there anybody else? 35? 50. We got 50 for this game. Now, remember, these are icons of the party. They're in this. You got their signature. It's a unique piece of property. You got
What's
50.
the point of the game?
55. Anyone got 55? 55? I am not an auctioneer, despite the fact that I talk. 50 going once. We have anybody who goes higher than 50. How much? 55. I got 55 in the back. 60. Again, these are unique names. This is a really important piece of Michigan history. 60 going once. Do we have anybody over 60? We got a 65. 65 is great. All right. Anyone over 65? 65. Do I hear 70?
75.
75. I hear 75. Wow. 75 going once. 75 twice. So Holly, thank you very much. Did I hear 80? I hear 80. They're jumping in over here. 80 in the back, okay. We're up to 80. $80 for this unique piece of Michigan history. Who wants to go above 80? 80 once, 80 twice. 80 sold to the young man in the back who is a piece of dedicated history. Thank you very much. All right, we have one other important thing we need to do. All right, before we get to that, we're going to ask you for some money. Now, it turns out that I have one person who has said that they would match the first $250 raised. Now, before I ask anybody to give us any money here, I wonder if there's anyone else in the audience who might match my 250 in matching funds, meaning that if we raise 250, I put in 250 and they would get the next 250. So somebody who would be the matching funds for the next 250. Do I have somebody who would do that? All right.
Are we just raising? What is this?
We're raising money for the party.
Okay.
Right now. You'd match the. Okay, so it sounds like we've got 550 that we willing to match what we can raise on the floor right now. If you can throw in $10, you can throw in 50. Is there anybody who would be willing to raise some money to do that for the party? I realize we're pushing a little here, folks. We didn't have a banquet. We had kind of a nice little convention, and did some things today, and it's important. But we're trying to make sure that the new LEC has some funds. And until the whole matter with America is worked out, we need to do that. So did I hear somebody's gonna write a check? Besides Mr. Gillot? I got somebody else that might be willing to make somewhat of a donation. Boy, I feel like.
Qualifier on signing that again.
What's the amount?
Anything you want to write?
Blah, blah, blah.
250. So you just matched by 250. That just made 500. Now, Mr. Gillot is gonna add to somebody else's donation. We have somebody that might throw in $50 or 20. We've got 20. Look at that. See, we're getting somewhere now. There's 20 over there. Do you have anybody else that has a $20 bill? I got another 20. So there's 40. All right, we're on our way. Look at that. Look at that. I just got $50 from a two-time chairman of the Libertarian Party of Michigan. I'm gonna need a treasurer at some point. So we got 50, 20, 20. That's $90 that we raised that Mr. Gillot is gonna match. I'm gonna make a pile here. Anybody that wants to throw in $5 or $2, we'll take it. All right? This may seem a little hokey, folks, but it isn't. These are the resources that we need to make sure things get done. And I know it's asking people that have already come to the well. Thank you. Thank you. I know that kind of feels that way. I'm going to give the microphone back to the chairman. He's going to do an introduction. I just appreciate everybody coming together. We've got a.
Point of order.
We get the group shot in.
We have a 50-50 raffle and we were gonna have some.
We're losing people for the group shot.
I really appreciate everybody today. We had a great time. We're gonna get a group shot over here for Scotty. What a great convention. Everybody came together. We showed the club what we're all about, and I'm really proud of everybody. Thank you to the convention committee and everybody that helped make this possible.
From out there. People out in the lobby.
Or do we want to do a group photo after Jacob?
I want to get it now because I'm not knowing who's going to be before it's done. Everybody out there, everyone, all hands on deck.
I'm gonna give you $20 to not have her last call.
We're gonna have a 50-50 call here. Sorry. We got 50-50. Watch.
Everybody here.
They want more tickets.
Who wants to draw?
That's Mr. Horford.
Okay, you should be in it too. Hey, everybody, everyone in the room, come up front. Sitting down, please come up front. Want to yell out together. We want to look like a big crowd so we can show those people in Wixom what a real pizza party looks like. Real pizza looks like.
Yeah. Hey, you guys in the back, come out front. I don't know. Maybe we could ask Norm to take a picture. If he's far enough back, maybe get everybody in. Who's got the camera?
So I can take a picture in the back of the room.
Larry, you want to take a picture?
Let's move over there.
Wow, look at that room. You can get in there, Jake. We'll take it. We'll take it. We're non-discriminatory. All right, on three, everybody say liberty. 1, 2, 3. Come and take it. Wow. All right. Thank you, folks. That's just wonderful. All right. Mr. Saliba, are you you're on there somewhere? We're gonna do 50-50. Here's the drawing, folks. You're gonna make some money. Where's my treasure? There she is. I gotta give her some.
You know, you guys say that my dad, my life father.
All right, and guys, don't forget, we also have Mr. Hamburger speaking as soon as this wraps
I made him too.
Should we get your tickets ready? We're just counting the money up.
Are we doing the raffle?
Yeah, they're coming.
Did she run off with the money? No. All right, Claire, you're both things up.
Thank you.
I really believe it. All right, we're ready. Go ahead and call that number. The winning ticket's gonna get $145.
The winning number for $145 is 2494593.
All right.
2494593. It could be a phone number.
We got it. Over here.
All right.
The intrusionist husband got it. Come on,
let's go. Oh, there's a back there. How many tickets did you buy with party? Yeah, look at that. The cameras took all the money.
All right, and thank you everybody for staying. Like I said a few times, because of the speed at which this convention was planned, we did have our normal venues for guest speakers or such. Mr. Jacob Hornberger, who is one of the only declared candidates for president so far for the 2024 cycle, was able to make it here. And I guess I'll just, all of a sudden my Wikipedia knowledge of like 1996 keynote speaker and such has vanished. Author and candidate. So here's Mr. Hornberger.
Thank you very much, and thank you for sticking around to hear me give some perspectives on liberty. And Mike told me that the meeting was going to adjourn before I talked, and I was not going to be part of the formal schedule. I asked him if it would be possible to lock the door and force everybody to listen to me. And he's brought up something about the non-aggression principle. When I sought your nomination 3 years ago, I was emphasizing at state conventions that if you run your standard Libertarian presidential campaign that has been running this party for the past 25 or 30 years, that you would get inevitably the same 1 to 3%. And I got beat, and Joe got her 1.1%, which some people consider as a great triumph. I'm not among them. And it fell within the standard 1 to 3% that we've all become accustomed to, maybe sometimes less than 1%, after 50 years of existence. And what I said at all these conventions, I said, if you want to break out to a higher level, to the 7 to 10%, maybe higher level, is that you've got to do something different. You got to run a different kind of presidential campaign. You got to do something bold. Life rewards the bold. There's no guarantees, but life moves in the direction of those who move in the direction of boldness. But the problem was I announced in November, and I started going to state conventions all the way until COVID hit, and every weekend, debate. I mean, like every convention loves debates. I think I did over 20 debates. And the problem with the debate format is that Jacob, you have 2 minutes to give an opening statement, and all these questions, some of which are kind of inane. And then Jacob, you have 3 minutes to do your closing statement. And so they don't really lend themselves to painting the picture of what I mean by bold and different. This time I decided to do it different. I announced in February, early. Jacob, what are you doing announcing so early? Because now I've got 14 months to show people what I'm talking about. Bold and different from the standard Libertarian presidential campaign. Now, what do I mean by standard Libertarian presidential campaign? Well, the best thing to do is to explain to you what my campaign right now is all about, because it's pretty much what it was about 3 years ago. And then you can decide for yourself whether there's any difference. If you go to my campaign website, jacobforliberty.com, I will guarantee you that you have never seen a Libertarian Party presidential campaign like this in your lifetime. Right off the bat, top layer on my homepage, open the borders completely, abolish the border patrol, abolish all restrictions on the free movements of goods, services, and people, just like state borders, county borders, treat the international borders exactly the same. Just this last week, 40 immigrants died in Juarez, Mexico, in a detention center, in a fire. They wouldn't be there, but for America's system, socialist system of immigration controls. And that's what it is. It's a socialist system. That's why you've had chaos and crisis along the border all of our lives. I grew up on the border. I know about this system. I've seen the deaths, the drowning in the Rio Grande, the dying of thirst in the Southwest, crossing lonely deserts. They're all a result of this immigration control system. That's the root of the crisis. And you've also got a police state down there. You've got highway checkpoints, roving border patrol checkpoints. When I was in high school, I was a victim of one of those. You've got warrantless searches of ranches and farms, boarding of Greyhound buses to check people's papers, all the things that go on in a totalitarian country. But there's one hope for all of the people that die in this part of the federal killing machine that Democrats and Republicans have brought on, and that's this part. You, with your position in favor of open borders, are the only hope for these people. And the day that that position is extinguished in favor of the position of Democrats and Republicans in favor of the socialist system, that light of hope goes out. It's one of the main reasons I loved this party when I discovered it. When I got home to practice law in my hometown of Laredo, Texas, one of the I didn't know anything about libertarianism. I'd never heard of it. First thing is I walked over to the federal judge's office, made an appointment with him, and said, Judge, I'd like you to appoint me to represent illegal immigrants. This is a rotten system, and I want to challenge the whole constitutionality of it. And he said, you got it. And then I discovered libertarianism, and then I discovered the party, and I said, wow, this is what principle is all about. Second banner on my homepage, repeal Social Security immediately, no hesitation, no opt-outs, no phase-outs over the next 50 years. No privatization, repeal it. This is the crown jewel of American socialism. They don't call it Social Security for nothing. It was invented by German socialists. And when you have a presidential candidate that says, I'm going to save your Social Security, I'm with Biden, I'm with Trump, we're on the same page, not only on securing the border, but also on saving your Social Security, you're sending out a message that you're quoting Ludwig von Mises and saying, I love socialism and I want to save it. And when you send out that message, you're saying, you're scared of freedom. I have no doubts you could repeal Social Security today and everybody would be fine because freedom works. You've got children with family values that are making a lot of money now because they're no longer paying FICA taxes, income taxes as well to fund the whole welfare state. You've got church groups, affiliation groups, charity groups, the foundation for the former Social Security recipients that wealthy people would be more than willing to fund. But if we don't communicate a faith in freedom, how do we expect other people to have that faith? And when I hear that we're going to phase out Social Security over 50 years, I heard this when I was 30, right after I discovered libertarianism. I'm still hearing it today. 50 years from now doesn't interest me. I want freedom in my lifetime. And you can't be free as long as you're living under socialism. Repeal Medicare. Medicare destroyed the finest healthcare system in history. That is the root cause of the soaring healthcare crisis. That's the root cause of the healthcare crisis. You got to get rid of cancer. You don't reform cancer. And yet, what's the standard position in the Libertarian Party president's candidate? Oh, health savings account. We're going to keep your Social Security intact. The military-industrial complex. What's the standard position? We're going to bring the troops home. Bring the troops home. Even Donald Trump says that. How's that different from the Republicans? The biggest mistake this country ever made was converting the federal government to a national security state with the Pentagon, the CIA, and the NSA. The CIA is the most evil agency in the history of this country. Look in your party platform and see what happened to the plague. I joined the party in '90 when the plague was abolish the CIA. You'll search in vain for that plague today. And you won't see presidential candidates calling for the abolition of the CIA or the Pentagon. We need to restore a limited government republic. That's the only type of system that is consistent with individual liberty. Legalize all drugs, not just marijuana. Now, if you go to the two major parties, you'll see that their strategy, political strategy on their presidential races is pick out 2 or 3 things that are really popular and make those your issue. Don't mention Social Security. You already see Biden and Trump and DeSantis fighting over who's going to save Social Security most. But the idea is concentrate on 2 or 3 issues only. And that model has been imported into the Libertarian Party for the presidential races. So you got popular positions that are taken like in the Fed. Okay, real popular. Downsize government, that's another favorite one. Bring the troops home, that's another one. Smaller government, that's another. Okay, so those are all the popular positions. Look at my website. I guarantee you, you've never seen anything like this in this party. I take a position, written, video, and in Spanish on every single burning issue of our day, 23 issues. I want every single American to know exactly where I stand as a libertarian, and I want everybody in the party to know. So that 14 months from now, you'll see this is a website in motion. I'm posting 3-minute, 4-minute videos every day in English and Spanish talking about Trump and Biden,
DeSantis, Haley, Pompeo, not on a personal level, but on issues and positions. And I gotta tell you something, just so you, full disclosure, I don't like Republicans, okay? I go after them as much as I take after Democrats because they are as responsible for the plight of this country as Democrats are. With the out of control spending, the $31 trillion in debt, the debauchery of the monetary system, getting us closer to nuclear war than we've been since 1962 in Ukraine, with Pentagon annex, with NATO. They're both responsible. But the problem in this party, all too often with presidential campaigns, is be nice to Republicans because we want to target them for votes with our reform-oriented positions, school vouchers, which are the most popular reform position in this party. The party hierarchy sends out a fundraising letter calling for voucher support. They get speakers supporting vouchers, and everybody just simply blocks out of his mind that vouchers violate the libertarian non-aggression principle. The pledge that we all take, that we all sign in writing, don't talk about it, Jacob, don't talk about it. We just keep backing these reform positions that violate the core principle of our philosophy. And the pledge that we all take, I mean, what is that pledge good for if we're going to just violate it whenever? But you see, and you see it right now, the Ron Paul revolution. Isn't that what we hear coming out of this party? The Ron Paul revolution. We got to repeat the Ron Paul revolution. Well, guess what? This is not the Ron Paul party. Right? Okay? When Ron Paul ran in this party, he got less than 1%. Okay? Now, I admire Ron Paul. He's one of my heroes. I like the guy. But this is not the Ron Paul party. The Ron Paul revolution took place in the Republican Party. But the mindset now is, oh, we can get those Ron Paul voters. That's ridiculous. That's an inherently defective libertarian paradigm and political strategy. And notice what they do to do this. They endorse Republican candidates. They placate Republicans. They give them attaboys, good job, and they adopt their positions. Why? Because they're hoping to get those Ron Paul voters. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. I'm going to tell you why it's not going to happen. If it was going to happen, it would have happened with Gary Johnson in 2012. I mean, Gary ran in the same years of the Ron Paul revolution. And where did he end up? 3% or something like that. The whole Ron Paul revolution did not come over to Gary Johnson. Why? In 2012, we got 2 Republican governors. Count them, 2. Weld and Johnson, bringing in their reform-oriented positions. On one day they're a Republican, next day they're Libertarian. The Libertarian Party becomes a big tent to adopt Republican reform-oriented positions. And now that's all Libertarian, even though they all violate the Libertarian non-aggression principle. They're redefining libertarianism and the party. And what's the result? 3% or so. Okay? Why didn't they vote for Joe? Where's the Ron Paul revolution of Joe? It's a fool's errand. You know why? Let me explain it to you why. Bill Weld was being groomed in this party for the 2020 presidential nomination. No question. You can go back and look on the internet. He was being featured in interviews, stories within the press, libertarian press, newspapers, magazines, fundraising drives, fundraising letters. He was being groomed as our nominee in 2020. I would have run against him, so would Joe and so. And he was the model of a Libertarian Party presidential nominee in the last 25 or 30 years. Well, there was an article. Y'all know George Will, the conservative columnist for the Washington Post. He's Mr. Conservative, Mr. Republican. He writes an article saying he's endorsing Bill Weld as the Libertarian Party presidential nominee. And the title of the article, "Can This Man Save Conservatism?" I look at this and say, oh my gosh, this is what's wrong with this party. This is why the mainstream press refers to this party as right-wing, as conservative, as a subset of the Republican Party. And there's no pushback. The party hierarchy and the Weld supporters thought this is a great compliment. Publicity, Jacob, publicity. Well goes back to the revolving door that's been established between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. And guess how many of his libertarian supporters, and including the party hierarchy, followed it? Zero. Zero. They believed in this guy. They wanted to make him the nominee. They wanted him to be president. Zero. And why is that? Because of loyalty to the party. They were loyal to the libertarian, more loyal to the Libertarian Party than to the man that they believed should be president. And that's exactly why those Ron Paul voters are never going to cross party lines and come over here and vote for us. It's just not going to happen. Now, people, Libertarian Party members that see my positions on my website, those 23 positions, they're going to attack me. I'm accustomed to that. But I guarantee you they will not attack me by saying that these principles violate any principle of libertarianism or this party. The attack's going to be, Jacob's going to cost us votes. That's what they said 3 years ago. The mindset of this party for the last 25, 30 years, since I first started serving on the platform committee in 1990, the mindset has become, if you adhere to principles, you can't get votes. Balderdash. Balderdash. One of the reasons that I entered the primaries 3 years ago, I wanted to show the party members that a hardcore principled case for liberty can garner votes. These are not just inside the convention votes. This is electoral votes. This is out there. These are the primaries. I won 7 out of 9 primaries with this message. My message hasn't changed. It hasn't changed in 30 years. But I wanted to show the party this meant that by adhering to principle, it's not an albatross. It's not a liability to be a libertarian. That you can get votes. Now, I have 3 groups. You see, the Ron Paul strategy is basically not an unsound strategy. It just targets the wrong people. What I'm saying is we need to target different groups of people with this message of principle. First group, Black people. This is a gold mine for libertarians. I've been saying this for 30 years. Okay? 30 years I've been saying this. Gold mine. We talk about mass incarceration. We talk about asset forfeiture. Inordinate jail sentences for Black men, Black women. The killings of Blacks with this drug war. We're the only party that calls for ending this drug war entirely, legalize all drugs. We should be capitalizing on this. We were the only party to oppose foreign intervention like Vietnam. You go back and you look at people like Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King talking about the federal government as the greatest purveyor of violence in America, in the world. And opposing the draft where they destroyed Muhammad Ali's best years of his productive life. That's us. And I'll give you a real life example of this. In 2002, I ran for US Senate in Virginia. Didn't have a lot of money. I was running against the most popular governor in Virginia. I forget his name. He was married Elizabeth Taylor. Warner, John Warner. Elizabeth Taylor. So the Democrats didn't even run anybody. They knew this guy was a shoo-in, and he was a shoo-in. I'm running right after 9/11, where I'm saying the 9/11 attacks were motivated by U.S. foreign policy. Not exactly a popular position in 2002. I'm calling for the repeal of Medicare and Medicaid, just like I am today. There was a LaRouche in the campaign. She got all the Democrat votes, no doubt in my mind. I got 7% of the vote, but barely any money. How did I do that? That's also over 100,000 people took the time, knew I couldn't win, came and supported, voted for me. Why? I had done research. I looked for Black events, concerts, picnics, and I went campaigning personally, talking to Black people. But this is what I'm running on. I got endorsed by a Black minister, one of the most prominent Black ministers in the country. He later got elected to the African American Hall of Fame. You can see his letter of endorsement on my campaign website right now, because I'm proud of it. It's on my biographical page at jacobforliberty.com. I have no doubts that That's where the predominant section of my 100,000 votes. Now, in North Carolina, early on, 3 years ago, I said, I'm going to compete in this primary and I'm going to run to win it. And I did, but I went again, Black community. We went to the poorest section of Wilmington, door to door. No white person had ever come to these people's door, public housing projects, asking for their vote. We were the first white people that ever came in and asked for their votes. No other LP presidential candidate would join us. We invited them all. Bring your own flyers, bring your own leaflets. Nobody came. You would not believe the reaction. Talk to Spike Coleman. He was there. And the reaction was phenomenal. Okay? So I get a really favorable column in the best, biggest, or at least one of the biggest Black newspapers in Raleigh, the Carolinian. Columnist there almost effectively endorsed me there. Really favorable column. So I win that primary. That's the first group. It's a gold mine vote. The Democrats they'll never vote for Republicans. And they'll never vote for a Libertarian Party presidential candidate that is oriented toward Republicans. It's just not going to happen. And I don't think Biden's got a lot. That's what we do. Second group, bigger group, people who don't vote. This is enormous. This is like half the population. They don't vote. Why don't they vote? Because they're disgusted with the whole system. The whole system's rotten. It doesn't matter whether they vote for Biden or Trump or DeSantis. They're all alike. They all stand for the same things: the welfare state, the warfare state, the war on immigrants, the war on drugs. But they're not going to come out and vote for your standard Libertarian Party presidential candidate. Something has to get their attention. And only by adhering to principle. Look at our principle. We want to dismantle these things. We want to dismantle the welfare state, dismantle the warfare state. Then you get the attention of these people that don't vote. Then they say, that's a guy, that's a woman that I can go vote for. And I'll take the time to do it. Third group, Hispanics. For 30 years, I've been telling the LP, this is a prime target for us. We're the only party that calls for the open borders position. Now, if you did a polling of Hispanics today, I'm sure most of them would say, oh, secure the borders. But that's only because they've never heard the principled case for open borders. Certainly not from any Libertarian Party presidential candidate I've ever seen. And they've got to feel sympathy for what's going on with all these deaths and humiliation and abuse. And so if we target these groups of people, including especially the non-voters who Hillary Clinton would call the deplorables, we target them with our message. But if you go to any of these three groups with a Republican-type Libertarian Party reform-oriented campaign, it ain't gonna work. Now, people will say, well, Jacob, you can't get votes with Republicans with your message. You're absolutely right about that. They'll say, you can't get votes from seniors. You're absolutely right about that. No senior is going to vote for me when I'm calling for the repeal of this socialist dole. It's just not going to happen unless they happen to be libertarians. But let me give you the bad news. Seniors are not going to vote for any Libertarian Party presidential candidate. Okay? As soon as you start talking about opting out, privatizing, selling off Yellowstone National Park to buy a giant annuity, you've tuned them out. You got to scratch off these votes and target these three groups. It is my conviction that if we target these three groups in this next presidential election, you will break out of this 1 to 3% barrier. You will break into the 7 to 10% barrier. That's what I got, 7% running for U.S. Senate with bare bones campaign in Virginia. And okay, that's not winning the presidency, but let's not go off into la-la land. 7 to 10% to me would be a very respectable outcome for this party that has been relegated from 0.5% to 3% for 50 years. I think that kind of thing, you can look at your friends and your neighbors and they can't chide you as much anymore about how libertarians can't do well in elections. 7 to 10% would also, I think, get most parties automatic ballot status. And that's a nice recompense for those of you that are right here building up the structure of this party. And that's not why you do it. You don't do it for recompense. You do it for the same reason I'm doing it. Because you want to live in a free society in your lifetime, not 50 years from now. But it'd be a nice thing to have, automatic ballot status. What I'm saying is, 14 months from now, you will be faced with a choice once again. You're gonna have plenty of the Libertarian Party standard presidential candidates. And you're gonna have one candidate that's saying, let's run a campaign of pure principle for the party of principle. You come with me, and I am certain that we can do much better than we have before. Come with me and let's lead America to liberty. Thank you very much.
Did you want to do any Q&A or just do a few?
Yes, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
Wait, one caveat, no hard questions.
Comment, the question. 1984, Jesse Jackson ran for president. He was featured on a talk show in Detroit to answer questions. He knew nothing about the gold standard. He knew nothing about the Federal Reserve. He knew nothing about repealing the 16th Amendment. Nobody, he was asked if he or anybody in the civil rights who knew anything about it. And he said, as far as he knew, no one has written about it, spoke about it, or anything else. Not even Martin Luther King, not even Malcolm X, none of those people. Now here's my question. How are you going to handle the issue of reparations? Reparations. How are you going to handle that issue?
Reparations?
Yes, sir.
Among the African American populace that you want to target,
Yeah.
how are you going to handle the question of reparations?
Yeah.
Opposed to them, 100%.
You are?
Yes.
All right. That's the good term, man.
That's all right. That's all right. I respect that. But the way I figure it is, I didn't cause any slave any problem. No. Wait a minute.
They're not going to take their answer.
I understand. But let me tell you something. I got ancestors that were oppressed too.
That won't answer the question.
I'm answering the question. My ancestors, my mother, who immigrated from Mexico, had nothing to do with enslaving. When I grew up in Laredo, Texas, I didn't even know there was a problem with segregation or anything. I lived in a community with 98% Mexican Americans, 2% Anglos. I didn't even know anything about adverse race relations. There was no discrimination in my community for 18 years of my life. Had nothing to do with slavery. I'm sure they talked about slavery, but I don't recall anything like segregation. Bad things happen in this history. Slavery is the worst thing that's happened in this history. But people 4, 5, 6, 7 to 8 generations later, I don't buy this thing of transmitting suffering that happened 150 years ago to future generations. I don't buy that. People that live today have pulled themselves up by the bootstraps. Some of them have had very difficult lives of all colors, but it has nothing to do with the background. My mother was discriminated against as a Mexican American in Texas. I don't want any reparations for that.
Excuse me for a second. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Okay.
I've been for office since '94, state rep, state senate, county commissioner, and so forth. When I ask that question and I give them an answer, you can tell that they want to shoot me down as best as possible based on my answer. I'm opposed to it 100%. But once I give them the answer, they curse me out, holler at me, call me all types of things, and they'll walk away.
What was your answer? I don't understand.
No. I'm
sorry? Oh, your answer is the same as mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were opposing what I said. I'm sorry. I've been totally
He was indicating that the reaction of the people you're trying to reach out to, himself not included, is going to be, oh, hell no, if you say.
Oh, that's very positive. Oh, I see what you're saying. Other black people may have that reaction. That's okay. That's okay. I mean, you can't please everybody on every issue. But let me tell you something. When I was campaigning in North Carolina, I went to the bus station there every morning and every evening. 98% of the people in downtown Raleigh taking the bus were black. Very poor people. And they had a better handle on what's going on in this country, because I engaged them in conversation. How do you feel about what's happening in Afghanistan? They had a better handle on what's going on in this country than your average white person, well-to-do person in Raleigh. It was amazing. I mean, I felt like I was talking to libertarians. They said, Mr. Hornberger, you don't have a shot at this. Even if you win your party's nomination, they're going to crush you. Wow, no white person going to talk to me like that. But they had a good grip on this. And every black person in this country knows what's going on with the drug war. They know it. They've seen, they heard, if they haven't seen The Wire, they know it from personal experience. That's where I would be focusing in on. I'm not going to focus in on reparations. I'm not going to focus in on whatever.
You may not, but they will.
That's fine. I will handle any question, but there is no doubt in my mind, because of my experiences, that if we concentrate on what matters most to black people and should matter most, is what the cops are doing, bigoted cops, bigoted judges are doing in the name of the war on drugs. I'm not saying all judges and all cops are bigots. Obviously, it's not true. But when you have a bigoted system like the war on drugs, you're going to attract bigots into the criminal justice system. And when you get rid of that, you get rid of the drug war, you get rid of the bigots that come with it. And that, I think, is going to hit a lot of courts within the black community.
Okay, I don't want to hog
Yes.
this thing, okay?
Let's do one more, because,
Yeah, please, one more.
Okay.
oh, no. One more from one person.
Sorry.
Okay,
Do we have to shut down?
the
Yeah.
black ministers about the country went and asked for the federal government to crack down on crack cocaine.
Right.
They were the cause of this war on drugs.
Because they didn't know any better.
No,
They didn't know any better.
it is my impression that they knew better, just that they wanted to cause problems, and they turned right around and blamed the government for racism. That's my impression.
There's a lot of drug abuse in the black community, the inner cities. I can understand why somebody would say we need drug laws to deal with this problem. A lot of white people have supported the drug war, including family members of mine. For 30 years, have supported the war on drugs because of good intentions. And I think a lot of these ministers had good intentions, but we just got to say, and it's interesting you said that, because I was just at the New Jersey Libertarian Party convention, and Maj Touré gave a talk right after my talk. And he said, Jacob's right about targeting people in the black community, but he says, don't target black ministers. He says, because you'll never reach them. That's kind of interesting you say that. Yes, ma'am.
Mine is just a couple different things like dealing with poverty. There's a couple things I'm going to mention. One, Greg Stemple, when he ran for Secretary of State, says you should pay for your car tax one time and be done. Because in the state of Michigan, you have to pay every single year. A little sticker on your car, and if it goes out of date, the cops will stop you. And then you get, your car towed or whatever. It's a lot of people in poverty who are just trying to go to work. So that's like one issue there. Another issue is unemployment and minimum wage. So I'm just asking you to do a blanket statement of kind of economic on poverty, minimum wage, how do you balance all of that?
Okay, she brings up the minimum wage and the car tax here in Michigan as an example of how would I, dealing with the war on poverty, and how would I deal with this? Exactly what I just said. The car taxes are aggressive tax, and it hits the poor the most. And a lot of black people in the inner cities have a difficult time with it, and everybody else. But it's a perfect issue to hit the disgruntled people. The people like inflation. Inflation's falling on the poor of this country. Rich and middle class can adjust to the carton of eggs that's soaring in price. Poor people cannot do this.
So what do you do about minimum wage?
Minimum wage is the biggest attack on poor people. Okay, let's get back to blacks here for a second. This is the pitch I'm going to give if I'm your nominee. There is an unemployment rate chronic in the black community among black teenagers of 20 to 30%, more like 30% every year. Why is that? It's because of the minimum wage. And Walter Williams has pointed this out, that you lock out of the labor market everybody whose labor is valued at less than the minimum. So if a black teenager comes and says to an employer, I'm willing to compete against that white kid over there, and I'll work for $5 an hour because I want to learn a trade, I want to learn the business, I want to learn a work ethic. The employer says, oh, I'll do that. Oh, wait a minute, you got minimum wage laws, can't do it. So that black teenager doesn't get hired. He can't compete on the basis of price.
Is that a race to the bottom?
I don't know whether you call it a race to the bottom or not, but it's a way to lock out the poor out of the labor market. Okay? And that's how I would handle this. That the minimum wage is a way that helps the elite, union people and so forth. But everybody whose labor is valued at less than that minimum is locked out of the labor market. What's the government say to them? You can go on welfare. Oh, great. You become dependent on the state for the rest of your life, or go into the drug trade. That's how they attract a lot of these inner city youth into the drug trade, because they lock them out of the labor market. The drug trade, they can make a quick buck. They get caught, they end up in a penitentiary for 20 or 30 years. Thank you very much.
They would argue their labor is worth more, so they're in the drug trade because it's worth more, right?
I don't think so. I think they're in the drug trade because you can make a quick buck.
Yeah, because their labor is worth more.
Oh, yeah. They
I'm
are.
not worth $5.85 an hour. I'm worth, $1,000 a week.
Well, which is another reason why we need to legalize drugs, so the drug prices drop down to reasonable levels and we get rid of all the cartels and all this other stuff. I want to thank y'all very much for sticking around, and thank you for giving me the time, and thank you, Mike.
I want to thank you too for coming. I would have asked you 6 more questions, but we still have to have an executive committee meeting.
That's more important. Thank y'all very much.
All right, Ken, we get the members of the new LEC, and we'll make it quick.
Get us